Oh, yeah, by the way, okay. I can get it. Sure.
Winston Station. Petition session.
Petition equal.
Yeah, at least
Statement.
Right.
Aji.
Deferment.
Na ile deferment letter. Yeah.
Right.
Code. Badi. Ama?
Right.
Morning, sir. How are you? Salam. Salam. Good. You have been in the paper, someone did that? Okay, sir. Sir. These notices? There are 3 notices. There are 3. 3 notices of motion. No. Oh, sorry. No. Those notices of motion. Notices of motion.
But the signed one is coming. Once you get that one, you'll send it.
Oh, excellent.
You can use that one for now.
Excellent.
Next time. What one? Yes. Oh, no.
3 of them.
I thought you were the
Okay.
Honorable members, let's pray. Almighty God, who in your wisdom and goodness have appointed offices of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of the people, we beseech you to behold with your abundant favor as your servants, whom you have been pleased to call to performance of important trusts in this republic. Let your blessings descend upon us here assembled. Grant that we treat and consider all matters that shall come under deliberations in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests you've committed to our charge. Amen. Honorable members, the numbers are quite low, as is obvious, maybe for reasons that are also explainable. But unfortunately, we can't start business at a house unless we meet the threshold of the right quorum. So I order the bell to be rung for 10 minutes.
The Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Moses Cheboy, who is presiding over the business of this House this morning session, has just ordered that the quorum bell be rung for 10 minutes. And this is pursuant to Standing Orders number 35, subsection 1 and 2, to allow for more members to make their way into the chamber, to allow the House raise the requisite number for it to transact business this morning. In the order of business this morning is that members will be debating the Pensions Amendment Bill, Bill number 26 of 2020 by Honorable Didmas Baraza. And after the completion of the allocated time for that particular debate, members will move on to vote on that particular bill. There are a couple of bills before the Committee of the Whole. And just to mention a few is the Industrial Training Amendment Bill, Bill number 4 of 2019 by Honorable Jude Jomo. The Alcoholic Drinks Control Bill, National Assembly Bill number 70 of 2019 by Honorable Silvana Sosoro. And finally, the Employment Amendment Bill, Bill number 79 of 2019 by nominated MP Gideon Keter, is also among the bills to be considered by the Committee of the Whole. The House will equally be resuming debate on the committee and the Community Health Workers Bill, this being a bill originating from the National Assembly, Bill number 30 of 2020 by Honorable Martin Owino. The Poverty Eradication Authority Bill, Bill number 13 of 2020 by Honorable John Waluke, is currently at the second stage, and so members will be giving their input in regards to that particular bill. Remember, this broadcast is brought to you courtesy of the collaboration between the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation and the Parliamentary Broadcasting Unit. You can also follow it up on our YouTube channels, on KBC Channel 1, as well as through Parliament of Kenya. Members of the National Assembly continuing to trickle into the chamber to allow the House get to number 50, which is the least number of members of Parliament who are allowed in the chamber at any particular time to allow the House move on with its business. The Sexual Offences Amendment Bill, a bill by Honorable Gathoniwa Mushomba, is also set for consideration before the House, and so is the Insurance Professionals Registration Bill, Bill number 25 of 2020. There will also be a petition before the House, and one of the petitions will be conveyed by Honorable Wilson Sosion, a nominated MP on behalf of teachers. The petition is on the refusal by the Teacher Service Commission to acknowledge undergraduate as well as graduate and postgraduate qualifications attained by in-service teachers from the recognized university. That particular petition will be fielded before the Departmental Committee on Matters Education as well as Research. Member for Jomvu, Honorable Badi Twalib, will pursuant to Standing Orders number 42A, subsection 5, be asking the Cabinet Secretary for Matters, Lands and Physical Planning to explain why Mr. Salim Said is yet to be compensated for the land compulsorily acquired by the government in 2015. This was to pave way for the construction of SGR, despite the land having been valued and awarded a letter. Also, the MP will also be seeking to understand what measures the ministry has put in place to ensure that Mr. Salim receives the compensation, and could the Cabinet Secretary also provide the timelines for the payment. Those particular questions will be replied before the Departmental Committee on Matters, Lands and Physical Planning. Homa Bay Town Member of Parliament, Honorable Peter Kaluma, will be asking the Cabinet Secretary for Education to explain the reasons behind the decision by the Kenya National Examination Council to merge examination centers. This is for purposes of hosting of primary as well as secondary school national examination. And did the council take into account factors such as the long distances the candidates will have to travel, their safety as well as welfare of those with physical disability prior to making the said decision, particularly for candidates in day school and primary schools? On that particular instance, the Honorable Peter Kaluma will finally be seeking to understand what measures the ministry has put in place to ensure that candidates, particularly pupils and those with disabilities, are not unduly disadvantaged by the merger. Questions by Honorable Peter Kaluma will be replied before the Departmental Committee on Education as well as Matters Research. The MP from Vita, Honorable Abdul Swaman Nasir Sharif Nasir, will be asking the Cabinet Secretary for National Treasury that following the dissolution of the Kenya Ferry Services, as well as the transfer of its functions to the Kenya Ports Authority in June 2021, could the Cabinet Secretary provide the status of KFS employees with regards to their employment terms, matters welfare, including their salary increments, payment of arrears, as well as other benefits? And could the Cabinet Secretary also explain why an undertaking made in a meeting with the Departmental Committee on Matters Labour and Social Welfare, a meeting that took place in October 2021 and resolved to implement a collective bargaining agreement relating to KPA staff, is yet to be effected, and provide the timelines when the undertaking will be implemented? Questions by Honourable Member from Vita will be replied before the Departmental Committee on Labour and Matters Social Welfare. Kathiani MP Honourable Robert Mbui will be asking the Cabinet Secretary for Transport to explain the delays in the upgrading of Kenol Mitaboni as well as Kathiani Kaani Road to bitumen standards, yet funds for the same were allocated. The MP will also be seeking to understand what is the status of the contract, for the said road. And this is considering that the completion date has since lapsed, yet the project is incomplete. And what measures has the ministry put in place for speedy completion of the said road? And could also the Cabinet Secretary provide the expectation period for the completion timelines? Honorable Adan Haji Yusuf, MP for Mandera West, will be seeking a statement, and his statements regards to the abduction and killing of Mr. Yahya Mahmoud Mohammed and Mr. Abdurrahim Ado Abdullahi of Isiolo County. Question and the statement, the seeking of a statement from Honorable Member for Mandera West will be fielded before the Departmental Committee on Matters National Security and Administration. The House is yet to commence the transaction of its business this morning. This is owing to the fact that the House is yet to raise the least number of members of Parliament required to necessitate the House carry on with its business this morning. MPs continue trickling into the chamber to allow for the House to raise this number. The Mental Health Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 28 of 2020 by the Chairperson Departmental Committee on Matters Health, is also a bill lined up before the floor of the House, where members will be making their input in regards to amendments proposed in that particular bill, this being a bill originating from the Senate. The Children Bill, National Assembly Bill number 38 of 2021, A government business by the leader of majority is also currently at the second reading, and members will also be making their input into that particular bill. The Advocates Amendment Bill, a bill from the National Assembly, Bill number 43 of 2021, a bill by the Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs, is also a bill before the floor this morning. And equally, the leader of majority will be moving a motion on the official documenting of the history of the National Assembly.
Honorable members, since we still don't have the quorum, 10 minutes are over. I am, pursuant to the relevant standing orders, adding an additional 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
While pursuant to the provisions of Standing Orders number 35, subsection 1 and 2, the Speaker of the National Assembly, being the Deputy Speaker, Honorable Moses Cheboy, who is overseeing the business of the House this morning, has further ordered that the House be added some 5 minutes where the bell will be ringing to allow for more members to make their way into the chamber. And according to the standing order, subsection 3, whenever the Speaker or the Chairperson, as the case may be, is engaged in the counting, the House, the doors shall remain unlocked, but no member shall be allowed to leave the chamber except the party whip, who is allowed to leave the chamber to whip members to make their ways into the chamber. A couple of motions are also lined up before the floor this morning. There will be a special motion by the Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Matters Finance and National Planning. The special motion is on the consideration of the nominee for appointment to the office of the members of the Salaries and Remuneration Commission. And yesterday we witnessed the House make their input to a report by the committee, the Departmental Committee on Matters Finance and National Planning. And what remains this morning, or what is to be expected, is that the House will be voting to adopt or reject the committee report. The Departmental Committee on Matters Finance and National Planning had proposed that the House adopts the report, in which it found Elizabeth Wangoi Mushiri fit to sit in that particular commission. The Chairperson, Committee on Matter Selection, will be moving a motion on the appointment of the members to the Committee on Members' Service and Facilities Committee. The appointment of members to the Committee on Parliamentary Powers and Privileges by the Chairperson, Committee on Selection, is also a motion before the floor this morning. And equally, the changes to the membership of various committees is another motion that will be moved by the Chairperson on Matters Committee on Selection. Another key motion before the floor this morning is the report of the 2022 Budget Policy Statement by the Chairperson, Budget and Appropriations Committee. The Health Laws Amendment Bill by the Leader of Majority is also a motion where members are set to resume debate upon, as the time allocated for debate had not been concluded when the debate on that particular bill was interrupted on the February 8th, 2022. The Coffee Bill, a bill by the Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Agriculture and Livestock, is another bill before the floor of the House. And so is the Sasako's Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 55 of 2021.
Order. We can now start business. Order. Take your seats, please.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair. Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions.
The Honorable Sosion. Honorable Sosion, are you not ready?
Yes, I'm ready,
Then
Honorable
proceed.
Speaker.
I've given you the floor.
Yes, Honorable Speaker, I rise to present a petition regarding refusal by the Teacher Service Commission to acknowledge undergraduate, graduate, and postgraduate qualifications attained by teachers in service from recognized institutions and universities. I, the undersigned, on behalf of concerned teachers, draw the attention of the House to the following. 1, that the government of Kenya is committed to ensuring the policy of objectives for teacher education are aligned to meet the aspirations of the Constitution, Kenya's Vision 2030, and UNESCO's Education 2030 agenda exposed in Sustainable Development Goal number 4. Honorable Speaker, that Section 35(2)A of the Teacher Service Commission Act 2012 emphasizes the need for the Commission to require every registered teacher to undertake career progression and professional development programs. 3, that in recognition that continuous professional development of teachers is important in updating and development of the competencies of the teaching staff through acquisition of new skills, the Ministry of Education has integrated education and training in national development plans and strategies. 4, that in the interest of self-improvement, many teachers have progressively advanced their qualifications by pursuing and successfully earning higher qualifications ranging from diplomas, bachelors, masters, and even doctoral degrees. That, Honorable Speaker, the ILO UNESCO recommendation concerning the status of teachers of 1966 states that teaching is a form of public service which requires of teachers expert knowledge and specialized skills acquired and maintained through rigorous and continuing studies. 6, that the acquisition of higher certificates and qualifications undoubtedly equips teachers with specialized skills which enhance their professional competencies, mastery of content, and quality of delivery. 7, that in pursuit for higher qualifications, teachers had legitimate expectations that TSC would reciprocate through commensurate compensation of their efforts in bettering the teaching profession with effect from the date of their graduation. 8, that unexpectedly in 2014, Honorable Speaker, the TSC declined and terminated and stopped to acknowledge and reward in-service teachers for the bachelor's, master's, or doctoral, and even diploma certificates that they acquired from recognized universities as part of their personal career development. 9, that the decision by the Teacher Service Commission disillusioned teachers and negated its goal of building a highly knowledgeable teaching force through self-initiated career progression and professional development. 10, that the Teacher Service Commission action contradicts ILO UNESCO Convention 1966 recommendation that authorities, and I quote, authorities and teachers should recognize the importance of in-service education designed to secure systematic improvement of the quality and content of education and teaching techniques. 11, that if TSC's current policy position of declining to recognize and compensate in-service teachers for higher qualifications and the country stands the risk of losing its continental and global competitiveness and standing in the field of education. And Honorable Speaker, I wish to report that now Kenya is ranked number 7 in global competitiveness in the continent, down from number 1 out of these type of reforms. Honorable Speaker, 12, that efforts by the petitioners to move the TSC to address the matter have been unsuccessful. 13, that the issues in respect of which the petition is raised are not pending before any court of law, constitutional, or any legal body. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, your humble petitioners pray that this House, through the Departmental Committee on Education and Research, intervenes in matters raised in this petition, and 1, inquires into the circumstances under which the Teacher Service Commission has since 2014 unilaterally declined to recognize diplomas, undergraduates, graduates, and postgraduate degrees earned by in-service teachers from recognized universities. 2, recommends that the Teacher Service Commission immediately puts in place necessary policy guidelines to promote or upgrade teachers who successfully acquire higher qualifications from recognized institutions in line with international best practices and the recommendations of the ILO UNESCO Conference of 1966 on the status of teachers. And 3, make any other recommendations deemed fit in addressing the plight of the petitioners with a view to safeguarding Kenya's competitiveness and hitherto coveted place in the field of education. And your petitioners, Honorable Speaker, will ever pray. Thank you.
Very well. Before I place it before the relevant committee, I would give a few members to ventilate on it and make that other process work. So let's have the Honorable Leader of Minority, the Honorable Mbadi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to support this petition by Honorable Sosion, and I want to congratulate him for representing teachers very well. Mr. Speaker, teaching is a noble profession, we have always said. And I will tell you, any society that does not invest in education is a society that is not progressing at all. And so, Mr. Speaker, the way we handle and treat our teachers is very, very important. And I want to advise or add that when this committee is looking at this matter, there are issues that need to be looked into, which may require even budgetary allocation by this House. So if there is need for budgetary allocation, the committee should recommend, even with figures, how much this House should provide so that we recognize and respect our teachers. Mr. Speaker, before I conclude, when one applies for admission to a university or any other college for either diploma, degree, or postgraduate degree, undergraduate degree or postgraduate degree, there is minimum qualification requirements. And once someone has met that and has already gone through the process and qualified, then you should not have any other body trashing that qualification. So, Mr. Speaker, to get a degree involves investment by these very teachers. And Mr. Speaker, I'm sure if you don't have someone in your family who is not a teacher, who is a teacher, at least you have a friend, you have a relative, you have someone close to you, even a neighbor. You represent teachers. Look at the kind of salary they earn. If someone can sacrifice part of that salary to improve his or her education, Mr. Speaker, it doesn't make sense that once you complete, then that very paper that you toiled so hard for 4 years plus to get, that it is not recognized, that it doesn't add any value to your life, Mr. Speaker. And these teachers are about to retire.
Now, when they retire with those certificates, what value will it add to you when people mention in your funeral that at least you went up to university? That is the only mention that will come out of that paper. It is sad. It is immoral, Mr. Speaker. It is something that this committee must look into and bring recommendations that this House can implement, even if it means allocating more resources. We can do it because our teachers are not treated well, Mr. Speaker. Thank you. I support.
Very well. Let's have, well, I have too many teachers running in the line, so maybe just to confirm that, including, let's proceed. Honorable Tongi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity also to support the petition. Honorable Speaker, I believe that we are all a function, a product of teachers. And the teachers have given a lot of contribution to Kenyans to where we are today, Honorable Speaker. Without the teachers, we would not be having the kind of quality we have in Parliament here today, Honorable Speaker. We would not be having the doctors that we're having today in the country, Kenya. We would not be having the professionals that we have in the country, Honorable Speaker. And we need to appreciate that if people fail exam at any given point, depending on the circumstances at that point in time, Honorable Speaker. People have gone back to school to enhance and improve their capacity of delivery of service. If a teacher has gone back to school because he or she has realized the opportunity that they would add, the value they will add to the community, to Kenyans, Honorable Speaker, they should not be punished, rather they should be rewarded. This idea of punishing them by not giving them promotion on account of what they have sacrificed so much, Honorable Speaker, because like my colleague has said, education is an investment, just like any other investment.
Okay, Honorable Tongi, please wind up because I really don't intend to open it too much.
Thank you. Honorable Speaker, I'm guided and I support the motion because as a former teacher, I believe that that's the way to go. We should reward and encourage teachers for better performance and improving the country, Kenya. Thank you.
Okay. Honorable Sankok, again, you are top on the list here.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. And let me congratulate Honorable Sosion for really representing teachers in this House very well. Congratulations, because you have the teachers in your heart. Honorable Speaker, teaching is a very noble cause. It is the only cause that is mentioned in the Bible, because even Jesus Christ was a teacher. That is why he was teaching in parables and others in synagogues, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, teachers are in charge of our children. We only have our children at home for 3 months, and they are in school for 9 months, meaning they are the parents of our children, Honorable Speaker, and they mold our children. So we must reward them, and we must make sure that this is a noble cause as it is, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, there will be no engineers, no doctors, no any other profession without teachers. Okay. Honorable Speaker, when they invest in education, we must motivate them that there is return in investment. That is the only way all the other teachers can go to university and read, Honorable Speaker. So I support.
Okay. Then it is referred to the Committee on Education, and we expect them to move with speed to sort out the issue and address the petition as required by the standing orders. I think the Honorable Sosion, you still have an issue? I think you don't. Let's have the relevant committee dealing with it. And honorable members, I want us to rearrange the order paper of this morning, since I know how difficult it is for us to proceed at some certain points here. We bring order number 8 so that we can dispense off with that and then come back to the normal order that we were proceeding with.
Order number 8, the Pensions Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 26 of 2020, question to be put.
Having just had the numbers checked, I want to put the question, which is that the Pensions Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 26 of 2020, be now read a second time. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. So we go back to the normal order.
A bill for an act of parliament to amend the Pensions Act and for connected purposes.
Very well.
Order number 5, papers.
Leader of Majority Whip.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Wednesday, February 9th, 2022, morning sitting. Reports of the Auditor General and financial statements in respect of the following institutions for the financial year ended 30th June 2021 and the certificates therein. 1. Kenya Climate Smart Agriculture Project, State Department for Crop Development and Agricultural Research. 2. Northern Corridor Improvement Project, Kenya National Highways Authority. 3. Global Fund, Malaria Control Program, Grant. 4. East Africa Public Health Laboratory Networking Project. 5. A case study on integrated delivery of selected non-communicable diseases in Kenya, Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital. 6. Capacity Development Project for Enhancement of Rice Production in Irrigation Scheme in Kenya, State Department for Crop Development and Agricultural Research. 7. National Agricultural and Rural Inclusive Growth Project, Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock, Fisheries and Cooperatives. 8. Supporting agricultural input and output marketing policy and regulatory reforms to improve the enabling business environment for agriculture in Kenya, State Department for Crop Development and Agricultural Research. 9. Mombasa Mariakani Highway Project, Kenya National Highways Authority. 10. Mombasa Port Area Road Development Project, Kenya National Highways Authority. 11. Sirari Corridor Accessibility and Road Safety Improvement Project, Kenya National Highways Authority. 12. Dualing of Magongo Road Phase 2 Project. 13. Dualing of Nairobi Dagoretti Corner Road Phase 2, Kenya Urban Roads Authority. 14. Kenya Urban Support Program, State Department for Housing and Urban Development. 15. Nairobi Western Bypass Project, Kenya National Highways Authority. 16. Nairobi Metropolitan Services Improvement Project, State Department for Housing and Urban Development. 17. Eastern Africa Regional Transport Trade and Development Facilitation Project. 18. Dualing of Magongo Road Phase 2 Project, Kenya National Highways Authority. 19. Coordination of Population Policy Implementation Project. 20. Strengthening fertilizer quality and regulatory standards in Kenya, State Department for Crop Development and Agricultural Research. 21. Upper Tana Catchment Natural Resources Management Project, Ministry of Water, Sanitation and Irrigation. 22. UNICEF Kenya Generation Unlimited Project, Executive Officer of the President. 23. Safe Roads Usalama Barabarani Program, National Transport and Safety Authority. 24. Horn of Africa Gateway Development Project. 25. Land-Based Emissions and Estimation SLIC Project, Ministry of Environment and Forestry. 26. Kenya Aviation Modernization Project, Kenya Airports Authority. 27. East Africa Skills for Transformation and Regional Integration Project, Kenya Coast National Polytechnic. 28. Financing Locally Led Climate Action Program Preparation Advance. 29. National Information Platform for Food Security and Nutrition Project. And 30. East Africa Regional Transport Trade and Development Facilitation Project. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Very well. That was a very long one. So we go to the next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Majority Whip.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I have 3 motions which I intend to put notice. On behalf of the Chairperson Committee on Selection, Honorable Speaker, notice of motion, further changes in committee membership. Honorable Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion, that further to the resolutions of the House of Tuesday, 5th December 2017, Wednesday, 15th July 2020, Tuesday, 11th February 2021, Thursday, 4th May 2021, and Wednesday, 13th October 2021, appointing members to various committees, and pursuant to provisions of Standing Order 173, this House further approves the appointment of the following members to the respective committees specified hereunder. 1. The Honorable Kato Olemetito Judah, MP, the member for Kajiado South constituency, to move from the Departmental Committee on Defense and Foreign Relations to the Departmental Committee on Agriculture and Livestock. 2. The Honorable David Kikaria, MP, the member for Nakuru Town East constituency, to move from the Departmental Committee on Energy to the Departmental Committee on Environment and Natural Resources. 3. The Honorable Jafet Kareke Mbiuki, MP, the member for Mahara constituency, to move from the Departmental Committee on Environment and Natural Resources to the Departmental Committee on Trade, Industry and Cooperative. 4. The Honorable William Kipkemoi Kisang, MP, the member for Marakwet West constituency, to move from the Departmental Committee on Communications, Information and Innovation to the Departmental Committee on Lands. 5. The Honorable Ali Wario, MP, the member for Bura constituency, to move from the Select Committee on Regional Integration to the Departmental Committee on Energy. 6. The Honorable Catherine Waruguru, MP, the member for Laikipia County, to move from the Departmental Committee on Agriculture and Livestock. 7. The Honorable Adan Keinan Walie, MP, the member for Eldas constituency, to move from the Select Committee on National Cohesion and Equal Opportunity to the Departmental Committee on Defense and Foreign Relations. 8. The Honorable Jeremiah Ngayu Kioni, MP, the member for Ndaragwa constituency, to move from the Constitutional Implementation Oversight Committee to the Departmental Committee on Energy. 9. The Honorable Khatib Abdallah Mwashetani, MP, the member for Lungalunga constituency, to move from the Departmental Committee on Lands to the Departmental Committee on Trade, Industry and Cooperatives. 10. The Honorable Alois Musa Dentoimanga, MP, the member for Samburu North constituency, to move from the Departmental Committee on Trade, Industry and Cooperatives to the Constitutional Implementation Oversight Committee. 11. The Honorable Ayub Savula, MP, the member for Lugari constituency, to move from the Departmental Committee on Trade, Industry and Cooperatives to the Select Committee on Regional Integration. 12. The Honorable Abdikarim Osman Mohammed, MP, the member for Fafi constituency, to move from the Departmental Committee on Energy to the Departmental Committee on Agriculture and Livestock. 13. The Honorable Kadhoni Wamushomba, MP, to move from the Departmental Committee on Agriculture and Livestock to the Departmental Committee on Communications, Information and Innovation. 14. The Honorable Johanna Ngeno, MP, the member for Emuru Adikir constituency, to be nominated to the Select Committee on National Cohesion and Equal Opportunity. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Very well.
That was the first.
You have the other notice, the other two.
Thank you. Honorable Speaker, I wish to give notice of motion on behalf of the Chairperson Committee on Selection, appointment of members to the Committee on Members' Services Facilities. Honorable Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion, that pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 175 and 212B3, this House approves the appointment of the following members to the Committee on Members' Services and Facilities. 1. The Honorable Ezekiel Mashogu Ombaki, MP. 2. The Honorable Dr. Swarab Manjan Mishra, MP. 3. The Honorable Samuel Moroto Shumel, MP. 4. The Honorable Rehema Hassan, MP. 5. The Honorable Rigathi Kashagwa, MP. 6. The Honorable Charity Kadhambi Shepkwoni, MP. 7. The Honorable Elisha Odhiambo, MP. 8. The Honorable Bernard Otieno Okoth, MP. 9. The Honorable Engineer Nzambia Thaddeus Kithua, MP. 10. The Honorable Christopher Wangaya Aseka, MP. 11. The Honorable John Walter Owino, MP. 12. The Honorable Elsie Muhanda, MP. 13. The Honorable Generali Nixon Kiprotich Korir, MP. 14. The Honorable Beatrice Ngatha Nyaga, MP. And 15. The Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, MP. The final notice, Honorable Speaker, on behalf of the Chairperson Committee on Selection, Honorable Speaker, appointment of members to the Committee on Parliamentary Powers and Privileges. Honorable Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion, that pursuant to the provisions of Section 15(1)(a)(2) of the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act 2017 and Standing Order 175, this House approves the appointment of the following members to the Committee of Parliamentary Powers and Privileges in addition to the one specified under Section 15(1)(a) Part I of the said Act. 1. The Honorable Josephat Kabinga Wachira, MP. 2. The Honorable Anthony Gathiaka Kiai, MP. 3. The Honorable Vincent Kipkurui Tuwei, MP. 4. The Honorable Francis Chachu Ganya, MP. 5. The Honorable Didmas Wekesa Barasa Mutua, MP. 6. The Honorable Gladwell Cheriot, MP. 7. The Honorable Andrew Madime, MP. 8. The Honorable Omar Mwinyi Shimbwa, MP. 9. The Honorable James Onyango Oyo, MP. 10. The Honorable Danson Mwashako Mwakuwoma, MP. 11. The Honorable Oscar Kipchumba Sudi, MP. 12. The Honorable Johanna Ngeno, MP. And 13. The Honorable Wario Galisha Gufu, MP. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Very well. Next order.
Order number 7, questions and statements.
Under that particular order, we have 5 ordinary questions. We'll start off with the Honorable Badi Twalib. No. Well, the following members have made requests for deferment, including the Honorable Badi Twalib and the Honorable Robert Mbui, and therefore I will defer these particular questions to another opportune time. So we'll go to the next. The Honorable Member for Homa Bay Town, the Honorable Peter Kaluma.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I stand to ask question number 023 of 2022. It's a question to the Cabinet Secretary for Education. Honorable Speaker, 1, could the Cabinet Secretary explain the reasons behind the decision by the Kenya National Examination Council to merge examination centers for purposes of hosting primary and secondary schools national examinations? 2, did the council take into account factors such as the long distances the candidates have to travel, their safety and welfare of those with physical disabilities prior to making the said decision, particularly for candidates in day secondary schools and primary schools? Number 3, what measures has the ministry instituted to ensure the candidates, particularly pupils and those with disabilities, are not unduly disadvantaged by the merger? I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Very well. That one will be replied to before the Departmental Committee on Education and Research. Next is the member from Vita, Honorable Abdul Swamad.
Asante sana Bwana Spika, nainuka kuuliza swali la 24 la mwaka 2022 na nataka hili swali liweze kwenda kwa waziri muhusika wa masala ya fedha. Swali la kwanza Bwana Spika, baada ya shirika la Kenya Ferry kuweza kusimamishwa na kufungwa na kazi zake kuweza kupelekwa kwa halmashauri ya bandari Kenya Ports Authority katika mwezi wa Juni mwaka 2021, ningeomba waziri Bwana Spika aweze kutuelezea hatma ya wafanyikazi wa Kenya Ferry, hususan ikiwemo mambo ya kujua uajiri wao, mambo ya kujua hali zao, pia vile vile kujua nyongeza za mishahara kulingana ya kwa sasa wako katika upande wa Kenya Ports Authority.
Now,
na kama
the Honorable Nasir, I'm struggling to really follow you, and I'm sure the rest of the membership are, because you know, you've asked the question, you made the request for the question in English, and you are asking in Swahili. I've been pursuing, and you are doing very well until the last bit where you changed some of the... So, well, I will allow you. I will allow you. But that should be the last. Members, if you make a request for us, a question in Kiswahili, you must ask it in Kiswahili. If you do it in English, it should be the same. Because, Honorable Nasir, if you look at it, the issue of payment over arrears, when you bring it in Kiswahili, for us who did well in Kiswahili, we realize that there is a possibility that you have actually gotten something extra out of the question you asked. You have actually enhanced the question using the changes in the language.
Bwana Speaker, niko radhi.
But the reason why I'm actually a bit lenient, Honorable Nasir, and surely this is being extremely lenient, is because we are encouraging members to ask questions in Swahili, because, of course, many Kenyans would be happier getting the questions in a language they understand even better. So that's why I'm a bit lenient. But please, let it not be a routine. Let it be very clear. We are not going to allow in future. Ask these questions in Kiswahili as much as possible. If you look at the order paper, we'll be having the member for Kwale asking it in Kiswahili. She made a request in Kiswahili. So whereas I'm a bit lenient, the Honorable Nasir, we will eventually ask the clerks, the office, to basically, interpret the question you've asked in Kiswahili, so that what you had asked in English is going to be the one you are going to achieve in Swahili.
Asante sana, Bwana Speaker. Nikona.
Okay.
Asante sana Bwana Speaker kwa mwelekeo wako. Na itabidi tuanze kutembea kidogo na kamusi katika suti zetu, Bwana Speaker. Lakini kama ulivyoweza kuzungumza ni kuhusiana na nyongeza zao. Pili, Bwana Speaker, kulipwa zile ada ambazo kwamba wanazodai. Na tatu, Bwana Speaker, manufaa yoyote mengine yatakaweza kuweko. Nadhani nimeweza kuliuliza kwa lugha fasaha.
Correct.
Bwana Speaker, mwishowe nilikuwa nimeweza kukudokeza nilipokuwa niko hapo kuhusiana swali la pili, ningeomba niliteremshe kwa sababu kuna mambo fulani ambayo kwamba nimeweza kujulishwa ya kwa kuna malipo yatakayoweza kufanywa katika wiki ijayo ya wafanyikazi wa KPA. Asante sana Bwana Speaker.
Yes, that is okay, the Honorable Nasir. As I've said today, I was quite lenient on your request. What you asked is that that you change the text of the second part of your question, which we wouldn't allow, because once this thing is out there, so the only thing that you can do is to drop that bit, and which you have done. So basically, we are in agreement. But in future, honorable members, as I've said, when you make a request in Swahili, and we encourage members to do that, please ask it in Kiswahili. And if you do it in English, just do the same in English. If you have a problem with any bit of the question, please notify the clerk's department in good time so that doesn't appear on the order paper. But be that as it may, that will be replied to before the Departmental Committee on Labor and Social Welfare. So we go to the next one we had deferred, of course, the one by the Honorable Robert Mbui, so we go to the member for County. What is it again, Honorable Nasir?
Speaker, I just heard you say that it will be referred to the Committee on Labor?
Yes. Looking at it, basically this is a labor issue, isn't it?
Noted, Mr. Speaker. Noted.
What, in your opinion, what is the committee that you are thinking would be most appropriate? We have no major issue, but
no,
these are matter of payments, of arrears, benefits.
Actually, Mr. Speaker, because this is an in-house thing on KPA and Kenya Ferry, so it is not really as much. It is an issue of how they are going to absorb those employees of Kenya Ferry into. I think the second part was more related.
Actually, that is basically that's what, and that is the reason. First, let me ask you, which is the committee Are you interested in having it before the Labor Committee, no, not the Transport Committee?
I think the first one would be better off because
with a
Kenya Ferry and KPA is currently under National Treasury. This would be better off with the Finance Committee because it is an in-house thing for them to now deliberate and confirm. The second part was the one that was more labor-related.
Allow me to consult on that briefly.
Noted.
The reason why I'm saying that is because, as I've said, you asked 2 questions. The second one, actually, you are going to be asking that you actually met with the Departmental Committee on Labor and Social Welfare on October 2021.
Yes.
So the question was better off with the Committee on Labor.
Exactly.
Now, I want to consult and see whether it is the Committee on Finance or Committee on Transport. Then I'll make a very quick one after the other question has been asked.
Noted. Actually, the reason I was suggesting Treasury, Mr. Speaker, is because Kenya Ports Authority, under the executive order, the services are currently, the mother ministry is Treasury.
Okay.
No longer transport.
Just 1 minute. Probably, I think you'd be more comfortable if I make that ruling quickly. So, Honorable Nasir, your request is granted. It will be replied to before the Departmental Committee on Finance. I think that makes you happy. Now we go to the member, tutamuita mjumbe wa kaunti ya Kwale.
Asante sana.
Ambaye anaitwa Mheshimiwa Zuleika Hassan.
Naam, asante sana Bwana Spika kwa kunipatia hii nafasi. Naomba kuuliza swali la 27 la mwaka huu wa 2022 kwa waziri wa leba na mambo ya kijamii. Wizara itaanza lini kuandikisha wazee, mayatima na watu wenye uwezo maalum wapya ili wapokee fedha za msaada za serikali? Asante.
Now, hiyo itajibiwa mbele ya kamati ya idara ya leba na mambo ya kijamii. Right? So that marks the end of our question time, and therefore we go to the second bit, which is statements, and let's give the opportunity to Honorable Adan Haji Yusuf, member for Mandera West, to make his statement request.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise, Honorable Speaker, pursuant to order, Standing Order 44 2C, I rise to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Administration and National Security regarding the abduction and subsequent killing of Yahya Mohammed Hassan, ID number 260-93404, age 34 years, from Golbo Ward of Moyale Sub-County, Marsabit County, and Mohammed Abdullahi, a police officer, force number 100594, who was based at the DCIO office in Embu County. Honorable Speaker, sir, on Thursday, 22nd of January 2022, Yahya Mahmoud Hassan and Abdurrahim Abdullahi, the police officer, were abducted by an unknown person allegedly suspected to be security officers at the junction of Isiolo and Meru at around 10:37 a.m. based on their last telephone contacts while in Abdurrahim's car, Toyota Royal Crown KBX 773V, which was later found dumped at Kambigarba area of Isiolo. The body of Abdurrahim Abdullahi was found on 22nd of January 2022 at Coral area near Iten town. Later taken to Iten Hospital mortuary and buried in Wajir. This matter was reported to the police via OB number 13/1.2022, while the family of Yahya reported the same as a missing person as per OB number 50/22/1.2022. Honorable Speaker, it is on this background that I seek a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Administration and National Security on the following. What is the status of investigation into the abduction and killing of the two, and has any suspect been arrested in connection with the death of Abdurrahim and the disappearance of Yahya Mahmoud Hassan? What measures is the relevant ministry pursuing in place to ensure the affected families are duly compensated for the loss of their loved ones? What steps has the responsible government agencies taken to deal with increased cases of the killings and abduction and the overall insecurity in the country today? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay. Honorable members, we will move to the next order. And remember, that was a request for statement, not a petition. Yes, I mean. Honorable members, that will not be opened for obvious reasons. You see, you will resolve that issue at the committee, and when there will be response, you will have an opportunity to ventilate on it one way or the other. It happens more with petitions. It does not happen with statements. What is it? No, it's not easy to recognize you when you are seated elsewhere. What is your issue?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the issue that has been raised by Honorable Adanaji is a matter of national concern. It is a matter that concerns the people of Kenya. As those of us who have come through the security profession, Kenya has a very elaborate security system, very professional officers who are manning those dockets. We have no doubt that they will carry out duties as far as securing Kenya is concerned. I think any life that is lost in this country, it is sad for the families, but also it is sad for this country. This is a country that is governed by the rule of law. Any individual who is suspected to be involved in crime must be brought before a court of law so that they can be prosecuted. If they are found culpable, then they will find their place at the right place.
Honorable Raso, you know, you have gotten an opportunity to speak by, I wouldn't say false pretenses, because you see, this is the National Assembly. We do not proceed on false pretense matter here. Because, you know, I expected you to have, there was a point of order you raised, so I wanted to get what is out of order. But you are lucky because while trying to pick the specific point of order, you have been able to actually make an addition to maybe buttress the position by the colleague who just spoke before you. So I think you have succeeded, but that should not have been the way I would have wanted.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Yes.
What I really wanted to say is extrajudicial killing and disappearance of Kenyan citizens is unacceptable.
Okay.
And it is against the Constitution.
You are a seasoned member yourself, so you know you have actually got it.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
But that was not procedural. No, the honorable member seated next to you. That is the member for Mandera North? That's Honorable Bashir, isn't it? Honorable Bashir, my eyes are not very good in terms of picking members that far. But Honorable Bashir, now that you are a colleague of your neighbor in a different, just before you came here, what is it? Is there something out of order? Let's hear what you have to say.
Honorable Speaker, nothing out of order, but this matter actually affects Kenyans, and mostly from people from northern Kenya. And it is something which is very dear to us. So we may not be saying anything much, but that statement that you have sought is quite in order, and that extrajudicial killings done by any group, whatever it is the responsibility of the government to bring the culprits to book. As has been said, we have elaborate security systems, very professionals. But who are these other people who are abducting and killing Kenyans?
Okay.
So we want to ask the government to ensure that the image of the security forces are not dented, to ensure that culprits are brought to book.
Okay, Major Bashir. With this vigor that you have shown this morning, the matter is going to be referred to the Departmental Committee on Administration and National Security, and we hope you will be there to prosecute those other matters. But even if you do not succeed there after that prosecution, you will have an opportunity again when the matter is brought back to the House in terms of the response to the statement. I am sure, of course, as I've said, what you have raised are critical issues, really, but there are procedures which we needed to use, but you have managed to get, a word or two to buttress your colleagues' request. So that will be referred to that relevant committee, and please take an opportunity and go and pursue your matters and issues there. So then we go to the next order. And before we go to the next order, just to say that there is, it's confirmed that we will not be having, we'll be stepping down from the order paper, the Alcoholic Drinks Control Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 70 of 2019 by the Honorable Sylvena Sosoro under his request. I have also an indication that probably the third one by the Honorable Keter is likely also to be stepped down. But that is after confirmation from Honorable Keter himself. So we will proceed with the Industrial Training Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 4 of 2019 by the Honorable Jude Jomo. So next order.
Order number 9, Committee of the Whole House.
So we are starting with the industrial. Honorable members, order. We are now in Committee of the Whole House to consider 3 bills. We shall start with the Industrial Training Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 4 of 2019. The chairperson of Labor and Social Welfare Committee is very well. So the chairperson of the Labor and Social Welfare Committee is in the House. The Honorable Soshon, you are taking charge. Very well. Clause 2. I propose that Clause 2 be part of the bill. There is a proposal to delete. Chairperson, the Honorable Session.
Thank you, Chair. We propose that clause 2 be deleted. Honorable Speaker, for a good reason, that there is no proper justification for the assessment and collection of industrial training levy and fees to be transferred from NITA to KRA. Whereas the bill seeks to ensure efficiencies and wide coverage in collection of the industrial training levy, it was the committee's view that addressing these inefficiencies has already been done administratively through non-rigid arrangements. And of course, these activities already ongoing. Accordingly, the concerns relating to the inefficiencies in levy collections were addressed through administrative arrangements with KRA. Industrial training levies are now collected by KRA through the unified payroll system. The administrative arrangements with KRA has brought about efficiencies in levy collections and increased the levy collection by 30%. This administrative arrangement offers NITA flexibility, and it also retains autonomy in assessment of levies and control over the process, as opposed to transferring the entire mandate of NITA to KRA. Chair, a legal notice on the above was issued in 2020. Hence, the amendment have been overtaken by events. That is why we propose that clause 2 be amended as proposed.
I propose the question that clause 2 be deleted as proposed by the chair. Of course, I'll give the first opportunity to the owner of the proposals, the Honorable Jomo Kangethe, member for Kiambu.
Bwana Chair, the major role of this House is to legislate and to make rules. And what is happening is that the executive is abrogating itself rules of making legislation. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, I brought this bill for the first time in this parliament in 2015, but did not see the light of the day because of the delays that were there during that parliament, and it was not able to see the light of the day. Now, I brought it again in 2018, and this is the time we have come now for that reading. In the process, the executive have seen what we want to attain from this bill, and they have used a shortcut to attain the same purposes. In 2020, the minister in charge of labor introduced a gazette notice mandating KRA to do exactly what we want this bill to attain. So what will happen next time when we get a minister who is not interested in this? And the whole purpose of giving KRA this mandate is to make sure that all the people all the employers who are supposed to remit their levy do remit the levy. The National Industrial Training Authority do not have the capacity to do that. They do not have the data. They have nothing. They are just groping in the dark. But if that mandate is given to KRA, they have all the data they require. They'll just leverage it on it. And in this bill, they are given timelines within which, after they collect, they will submit this money to National Industrial Training Authority. This is the only way we can get enough money to train our youth in technical jobs, so that they can be able to conquer the challenges that we are having in our country for unemployment, for lack of technical knowledge and technical know-how. Otherwise, if we just let an organization like NITA, whose the main function of NITA is to train, they do not know how to collect levy. And two, let us not allow executive to come into this House and take our role and go out there and legislate on our behalf. That is our mandate, and we should refuse to let it go. And I urge members to support me in this, and I can promise that our country is going to have highly skilled people when this happens, because we will have enough money to train our youth. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
The Honorable
I reject the proposal to delete that.
Very well. Very well spoken, Honorable Jude. The Honorable Manzo, now you have
Yes, thank you, Chair. While I agree with the Honorable Jude Jomo that it is our role is to legislate, there is also a thin line between administrative actions and the legislations. And sometimes that's why we have the delegated legislation to verify some of the things we have acted upon. While I agree KRA is most effective and is already doing it, that action has already been taken administratively. KRA also can withdraw administratively depending on when they are doing everything, collection for everybody, County of Nairobi, so they can also get overwhelmed by the collection. So I don't think we can really fix it in a law, but we must guard between our mandate being taken away and what is administratively practical or is the work of the administrators. So for me, I want to support the position government has taken, unfortunately for my good friend Jude Jomo, because we can, by law, overburden KRA, and KRA has a mandate by his own statute. I thank you, Mr. Chair.
The Honorable Walter, Martin Owino, the member from the West. Sorry, I was thinking of
always
a good friend.
Martin Woodchip.
Yes.
Thank you, Chair. Many times administrative procedures do not really live up to what we expect. And I rise to object that amendment because, Chair, NITA has no capacity to collect these revenues. Even through that arrangement, we are still doing only 1/5 of the employers. We should be remitting the money to be used for training, for self-sufficiency, for improved production for our companies, and also for updating employees. We are talking about capacity here. So if they cannot do it, and the Chair, KRA have even taken many counties, and they cannot be overwhelmed because they are trained to do that. If they are overwhelmed, they can tell us they need more personnel. They have not said that. So saying that we just leave it as it is, and it is not working. Right now, even from my bursary kitty, Chair, we have to supplement continued education, which should have even come from employers. So I support what Jude Jomo has proposed here, and I reject the deletion. If said and done, we will have money for HELB, which is now in crisis. We'll have money for TVETs, which is very, very fitting now because of technical requirement, and also we'll have money for employers back in terms of capacity building. So I reject.
The Honorable Shamala.
Thank you, Chair. I rise to support this amendment by the Honorable Jude Jomo. I do believe, and I wish to express that I think KRA can never be overwhelmed when it comes to collecting levies or taxes, and they are the institution that are best able to deal with this. We cannot, and it is extremely important that we appreciate and understand the power of technical training, and also that we respect it. We can't all be in formal education. We can't all be teachers, doctors, and lawyers. It was a time several years ago when we had polytechnics, when we rolled out excellent technical workforce. And this technical workforce must rise up again. There must be an incentive for them, and they must realize that there is honor and there is dignity in this particular area. And I agree that the body most capable, the body that has the most capacity, the body that will have the most impact will be the KRA. With those few remarks, I do support.
Finally, the Honorable Wangwe. Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, I wish to support the proposal by Honorable Jude Njomo that we retain KRA. I want to speak, Honorable Chair, as somebody in Budget Committee. Once you associate, when you look at the A that's collected by state agencies vis-a-vis the tax collected by KRA, it's almost a measure of 95-5. Therefore, Honorable Chair, it's important we let this money be collected by KRA and appropriated with the instructions from the agency to support our youth. I wish to support the proposal by Honorable Jude Njomo.
The Honorable Brighton, member for Konoin.
Chair, NITA has no capacity to keep the database for all employers. Therefore, it cannot effectively assess the training levy as required to be paid by the Act. Speaker, since NITA therefore does not have the capacity, we want to remove the mandate of NITA collecting the levy and vest it on KRA, because this is simply because KRA has the records of all the employers and employees. They have the experience, and no employer will actually play games with KRA. It will therefore take a very short time for KRA to get the 100% compliance. Thank you.
Well, honorable members, now allow me to now put the question that clause 2 be deleted as proposed by the chair, Labor and Social Welfare. Will as members of that opinion say aye? Will as members of a contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The nays have it. I now put the, yes, now that I now put the question that clause 2 be part of the bill. Will as members of that opinion say aye? Will as members of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Clause 3.
Clause 3.
I propose the question that clause 3 be part of the bill. There's a proposal to delete also. Yeah. Chair, you are proposing to delete this one?
Even as we consider Jude Jomo's proposal, we should be very cognizant of the efficiency of NITA when we create huge barriers by clawing away some of its responsibilities. It is not creation of efficiencies, but responsibilities of NITA, which is critical. And this mandate is under the direct jurisdiction of the minister, will make it more efficient if it carries out this function. Those were the key considerations as a committee, and I plead with the House to apply some bit of consideration. And for deletion of clause 3, as a committee, we consider that there is no proper justification to transfer the mandate to assess and collect the levies to KRA. NITA is the ideal institution, best placed to know the skill needs of the industry and how much is required to fund the trainings. And therefore, that responsibility should still remain with NITA. The ease of doing business reforms, 2020-2021 proposed creation of a conducive environment for doing business through various interventions in the legal framework. Chair, the proposals were implemented through the Business Law Amendment Bill number 2, Act of 2021 under Section 5B, that provides for actual collection of industrial training levies. The proposal to set the due date of payment of training levy to be 5th of every month will result in enforcement and compliance challenges due to numerous due dates for remittance of various taxes and levies such as pay, NHIF, and SSF contribution. In any event, the amendments in the current bill have been overtaken by events, noting the change from monthly to annual collection. There is no proper justification to increase the fee payable. The training levy of 50 shillings per employee per month was assessed as sufficient by stakeholders and NITA, and should be retained as such. The fee is set by the Cabinet Secretary in the regulations. Chair, for efficiency, fees are provided for in subsidiary legislation, which is easier to revise without subjecting the same through a complex process of amendment in Parliament. So we should be very cautious. If we elevate this from regulation to the law, we are creating unnecessary barriers. And in effect, we will be making NITA ineffective. Chair, there is no proper justification to empower KRA to assess penalties because the role it plays is that of revenue collection as an agent of NITA. Further, the penalty for default is already provided for in an act as 5% per month on the amount in default on any employee. So, Chair, we propose that clause 3, as proposed by Honorable Jude Njomo, it will not be good and therefore should be deleted. We will make NITA ineffective if we accept this amendment. That is a considered advice of the committee.
I propose the question that clause 3 be deleted as proposed by the committee. The Honorable Jude Jomo. Any other one that is close to him? Jude, there seems to be a problem with our mic. No, I'd like the Honorable Jude Jomo to start because he has a further amendment to it.
The Chair, I'm rather confused because we were done with clause 3 and I had the Mr. Honorable Sosion addressing clause 3, which we have already voted for. I stand to be corrected.
No, we had done 2. We did 2. Then now this is 3.
This is clause 3.
Clause 3.
Mr. Chair, there have been claims that KRA may be overwhelmed in performing this duty. During preparation for this, and when this matter was first raised, I wrote a letter to the Commissioner General of KRA, and he wrote back to me saying that he is in a position to be able to collect and to remit the same at a timely fashion. There is also another notion that is being brought that it is KRA who are going to assess and even put penalties. In this case, what we are doing is just making KRA an agent of NITA because they are specialized in collecting levies and taxes. So they are going to act as agents for NITA and they will only be paid a commission for the work done. Otherwise, they are just going to collect what has been mandated by the Act, and they are going to penalize according to what the Act have said. So this is not going to present any problem. I even have a letter from National Transport and Safety Authority, who are also using KRA as their agent, and they have confirmed that the levies are corrected and they are remitted in good times. So the idea that KRA cannot be able to perform this is very, very far-fetched. They'll be able to do it, and they'll be able to remit the revenue corrected in a timely fashion. And fears that we are going to strip naked the responsibilities of NITA are also far-fetched, because the core business of NITA is coming up with training and curriculums that are going to carve out our technical people, our youth, to be specialized in the work that they do. We need people who are specialized welders, we need good electricians, we need people who are very good in what they do in terms of technical training. So if they let those who are specialized in collecting levy do collect their levies and remit to them, they will be better positioned to do what they are supposed to be doing, and that is training our youth. We need more trained youth. We are even, there is also a proposal that some of this money will go into making our TVET institutions to be better equipped and to perform better. We know that the government has provided in every constituency a TVET institution. So what will happen if we do not take care of our TVET institutions going forward? So this, after the levy is collected, some of the monies will go into improving our TVET right at our villages where we have built them, to make them be able to provide training to our youth, so that in every corner of this country, we shall have carpenters, we shall have welders, we shall have electricians who are well trained to perform in their duties. So I oppose the deletion, Mr. Chairman.
Very well. So the Honorable Jude, basically the arguments on this one are similar to the previous one, because I mean, if it's virtually the same argument.
You're right,
So
Chairman.
I think it is fair, just to, because the argument is the same, that we make a decision on it. I will therefore put the question that clause 3 be deleted as proposed by the committee. Will as many of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many of our contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The nays have it. And now, yes. The Honorable Jude Jomo, you remember I mentioned that you have a further amendment to this, in subclause 5. I will now give you an opportunity to move before I put the global question. Just come back to where you have been, to mic number 1. Put off that one, that is with the chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to move an amendment. Notice is given here by member for Kiambu, that is me. I intend to move the following amendment, that clause 3 of the bill be amended in the proposed new section 5B by deleting subclause 5. Mr. Chairman, the justification of this is that we do not want to increase the levy, because once we improve the performance, once we get 100% remittance of this levy, we will not need to increase the amount levied to our employer, especially at this time when our economy is not doing very well, our economy is trying to recover from the COVID effects. It would be the wrong time to increase any levy. So, Mr. Chair, that's why I want to delete that particular amendment, so that the status quo remains. Every employer will continue paying what he has been paying. Only that now there will be more efficiency and there will be more collected. There will be a wider base of those who are going to be paying for their levies, including our SMEs and our small-scale industries. They will be able to inject this levy into this program, and more money will be available to train our young engineers and our young technicians. So, Mr. Chair, I beg to propose that amendment.
I propose the question that clause 3 be amended as proposed by the Honorable Jude Jomo. I put the question that clause 3 be amended as proposed by the Honorable Jude Jomo. Will as many of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many of our contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the global question that clause 3, as amended, be part of the bill. Will as many of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many of our contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 4.
I propose the question that clause 4 be part of the bill. The Honorable Session, your committee
thank you, Chair,
has
on
a
clause
proposal.
4. The committee recommends that clause 4 be deleted for good reason, that there's no proper justification for the industrial levy to fund other programs that are not workplace related, that is TVET and even Higher Education Loans Board. This is because the Industrial Training Act is an act of parliament relating to the regulations of training of persons engaged in industry. The training of persons engaged in industry is supported by the Industrial Training Levy, which is an employer's money. The Industrial Training Levy funds works better if utilized for workplace trainings to increase productivity of staff. So actually, it's a deduction that focuses on training the capacity of staff. Thus, the distribution of levy collected to other institutions undermines the essence of having an industrial training levy fund. Chair, there is no proper justification to increase the fee payable. The training levy of Kenya shillings per employee per month, or 600, was assessed as sufficient by stakeholders and NITA. Yes, sorry. Chair, contributing towards the training is undertaken on persons before the entry to the world of work, which is contrary to the intentions of the Act and contemplates training after employment. It also removes the focus of the industrial levy fund from workplace training. Additionally, these institutions proposed to benefit are already funded through the exchequer and other revenue streams. Funding the same institution through levies collected from employees leaves NITA with little resources to benefit the employees. This one I plead with the House this time round, because then there's a deduction from workers meant to build the capacity of workers. It cannot then be directed elsewhere. So the committee, in its wisdom, found this was going to even destroy the capacity of NITA. So we propose the deletion of that clause.
I propose the question that clause 4 be deleted as proposed by the committee. I give the first opportunity to the Honorable Njomo, member for Kiambu, the honor.
Thank you, Chair. We have several issues here. One is how this money, when collected, how it is going to be spent. And I want to clear the air, because I don't think what Honorable Sosion has told us is factual. When NITA collects this money, it does not only use it to train members of who are employed by the employer. Before it became National Industrial Training Authority, it used to be called DIT, Directorate of Industrial Training. And many people, including myself, were trained even before we joined employment by employers who were our prospective employers. And that is how they obtained training. Now, many employers have benefited from people who have trained themselves in these technical training institutions. And those are the people who are working in the industry now. So the employer should feel ready also to give back to the society by giving part of the collection, and this is only 20%, which is going to be used between the TVET institutions which we have built. And it is not going to be given out, it is going to be loaned to students through Higher Education's Loans Board, so that they can be able to obtain a good technical education that will enable them to become good employees. And it is going to help the same employers are going to employ these people, and they're going to help them in their industry. So, Mr. Chairman, I would really object to deleting of this particular clause, because this is what we need as a country. This is what we need to improve our workforce and to improve the knowledge base that we have for our technical field, so that we stop importing everything, and including technical people. We have had places, we have had occasions where we have specialized work to be done in our country, where we have to import technical staff. So, Mr. Chair, I really object to that. And, Mr. Chair, what I am proposing here is that 20% of the training levies collected shall be used for funding establishment, operating.
The Honorable Judy, you have made your point. Yes, you have made your point. Okay. I think that part. I just
wanted to emphasize on this fact where we.
Sorry, I think the 20% you have spoken to it. I think let us make progress. The Honorable Manzo.
Owing to the letter presented by Honorable Jude Jomo from KRA, first I want to withdraw my earlier statement that KRA will be overloaded now that they have confirmed they have capacity. And secondly, I want to say as a member of the trade industry and cooperative, it is true. We have a problem of training in this country, and especially when people are employed or before they get employment. And but this particular training, industrial training, is what is lacking. So that particular component, although it has been devolved, you still find it is insufficient, can still be done at the county level and at the national level, and it is one of the biggest problems in the country. HELB has been having problems in having sufficient funds, and the Exchequer has not managed them well. So I believe, Chair, when we do as the Honorable Jomo has proposed, then we will still be able to take care of that problem without interfering with the original jurisdictions conferred by respective statutes of Parliament which govern those bodies. I thank you, Chair. I support.
The Honorable Kamene, member for Machakos.
Yeah, I would like to support what Jude Jomo has said. I think it will be of importance to make sure that trainings reach out even to the TVETs, because this technical training is essential and we can see it lacking in our institutions. Thank you.
The Honorable Menza, member for Kisauni.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wish to support what Honorable Jomo has just said. Mr. Chair, this country cannot develop, cannot move forward without having a sound technical skills. And that is what we've been lacking in this country. And if you remember, Mr. Chair, in the past, we used to have technical colleges which were actually upgraded to universities today. And one of them was this university here near opposite KRA. It used to be a very strong technical college, but it was upgraded. The government came up with a very good initiative of the TVETs. And they even came up with an idea whereby the students will be provided with loans to be able to acquire the necessary skills. And what Honorable Jomo is proposing, it is a sound idea that we need to make sure that these students are supported fully. Otherwise, we will always have a gap in terms of human resources who are technical sound. And that is what we've been lacking, Mr. Chair. If you remember, when we were doing the tallow pipeline in Turkana, and we required specialized skills on the welding. You know, welding an oil pipeline is not like welding a normal metal grills and what have you. You need specialized skills. And we had to actually import welders from out of this country to come and do that job. This is a big shame for this country, Mr. Chairman, if almost 60 years of independence and we cannot still be able to provide a person who can be able to weld an oil pipeline. It's a serious shame for this country. And I wish to really support what Honorable Jomo has just proposed, and I think that particular clause has to be retained. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Honorable members, allow me now to put the question that clause 4 be deleted as proposed by the chair of the Labour Committee. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The nays have it. And now put the global question that clause 4 as amended, that clause 4 be part of the bill. Will as many as that opinion say aye? Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 5.
I propose the question that clause 5 be part of the bill. There is a proposal by the Labour Committee to delete. The Honourable Session.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Of course, considering the trend that all the previous clauses have taken, and we gave a caution. If you are deducting levies from employees, practically speaking, such revenue is not enough to train everyone else in the country unless you are appropriating from the budget. So we have to be cautious to make a law that is easy to implement and make it work. And as for clause 5, Chair, we propose that the bill be amended by deleting clause 5. And of course, if all other previous amendments were adopted, this amendment is unnecessary as it is a consequential amendment to the KRA Act. Yeah, so as a committee, we still propose that clause 5 be deleted. Thank you.
I propose the question that clause 5 be deleted as proposed by the committee. The Honorable Jude.
Honorable Chair, this particular clause is amending the Kenya Revenue Authority Act by giving it authority to collect levy on behalf of NITA. So really, when we have passed all the others, this is as a natural consequence of the amendments that we have done, that we have to give this authority to Kenya Revenue Authority. So it doesn't make sense to oppose this particular amendment after we have accepted to the others. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Session, sometimes it is good to realize when it has fled, and let it be. So this one, I think I will just proceed to put the question that clause 5 be deleted as proposed by the Labour Committee. Will as many of that opinion say aye? Will as many of the contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The nays have it. And now put the global question that clause 5 be part of the bill. Will as many of that opinion say aye? Honorable members, you need to keep your eyes on the ball. This is the global question. And now put the question that clause 5 be part of the bill. Will as many of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many of a contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The ayes have it.
Title?
I propose the question that the title be the title of the bill. And now put the question that the title be the title of the bill. Will as many of that opinion say aye? Oh, sorry. The Honorable Member Session was also proposing to delete this one.
Your Chair, I've got to present the entire position of the committee for purposes of consideration of the House.
Of record, yes.
Yeah, that on the title, the long title, that the bill be amended by deleting the long title. Justification is that the committee was of the view that the amendment bill is unnecessary as the proposals have been implemented through administrative changes, and further, others have been overtaken by legislative changes. And that indeed is the position of the committee.
I propose the question that the title be deleted as proposed by the committee. I now put the question that the title be deleted as proposed by the committee. Will as many as that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as our contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The nays have it. And now put the question that the title be the title of the bill. Will as many as that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as our contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 1?
I propose the question that clause 1 be part of the bill. The Honorable Session, you have a proposal to delete?
Do I really have a proposal? Yeah. Clause 1. Yes, Chair, yes, indeed. That clause 1 be deleted, and the justification is that the committee was of the view that the amendment bill is unnecessary as the proposals have been implemented through administrative changes, and further, others have been overtaken by legislative changes. So we propose the deletion of clause 1.
I propose the question that clause 1 be deleted as proposed by the committee. I now put the question that clause 1 be deleted as proposed by the committee. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of our contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The nays have it. I now put the global question that clause 1 be part of the bill. Will as many as that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of our contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. the mover, to report.
Thank you, Honorable Chairman. I beg to move that the committee do report to the House its considerations of the Industrial Training Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 4 of 2019, and its approval thereof with amendments.
Honorable members, I put the question which is that the committee do report to the House its consideration of the Industrial Training Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 4 of 2019, and its approval thereof with amendments. Will as members of that opinion say aye? Will as members of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Honorable members, before we move to the next step on the Industrial Training Amendment Bill, I direct that we move to the next business, the Employment Amendment number 2 Bill, National Assembly Bill number 79 of 2019 by the Honorable Gideon Kitter. Is he the one that I see walking in? Honorable Kitter. Honorable members, we are now in consideration of the Employment Amendment number 2 Bill, National Assembly Bill number 79 of 2019 by the Honorable Gideon Kitter.
Clause 2.
I propose the question that Clause 2 be part of the bill. There's a proposal by him to amend it. Yes, the Honorable Session is still on this one. There is a
Chair, faithfully on behalf of the chair of the committee and on behalf of the committee, on clause 2, we proposed an amendment of clause 2 by deleting the proposed new subsection 5 and substituting thereof of the following new subsection, that in respect of recruitment, an employer shall not require an employee to submit any clearance of compliance certificates unless such employer intends to enter into a contract of service with the employee, provided that an applicant of a state office shall provide compliance or clearance certificates at such times in the recruitment or approval process as they may be required. Chair, we had clear grounds of justification that whereas a clause has been redrafted to offer clarity, whereas it is necessary for an employer to require an applicant to submit the compliance or clearance certificates as a condition for confirmation of employment, the requirement should not be used to lock out applicants at the very first instant of recruitment or application. We felt it was a unnecessary barrier and on young Kenyans. An employer ought to show some serious interest in recruiting the applicant before requiring him or her to incur any cost associated with the procurement of clearance of compliance certificate, and not lock out an applicant who does not provide these documents at the initial stage or interview stage. This move will greatly benefit the youth, as the majority job seekers who have limited resources are yet to incur hefty cost associated with the sourcing of these clearance certificates without the promise of securing the job. Chair, we consider that majority of these applicants are very poor and cannot raise any levies, and requiring them to raise any levies is actually unfair. Chair, the committee observed that there was a difference between compliance and clearance certificates. Some institutions issued either type of certificate depending on the nature of the applicant. The clause is therefore redrafted to include both compliance and clearance certificate. And thirdly, Chair, the provision in clause 5 is necessary to ensure compliance with Chapter 6 of the Constitution of Kenya. This is because, unlike regular recruitment processes, the process of appointment of a state officer is rigorous and elaborate. It comprises various approval stages by different authorities and bodies, and as such, it should be possible for the ethics and integrity requirements to be ascertained from the first stage of approval, as well as at any other stage of the approval process. Chair, we considered redrafting that clause, and we propose that the redrafted clause be adopted by the House. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable members, I propose the question that clause 2 be amended as proposed by the committee. The Honorable Keter, you'll have the first go at it because it's your proposal. Or if you are not ready, we can have the Honorable Lesuda Naisula, who seems to be ready, the member for Samburu, as you put your thoughts together, the Honorable Keter.
Thank you, Chair. And I just want to thank the committee for this clause, and to say that it is a clause that is long overdue. As a country, we know that young people, most of them, are just fresh from campus or colleges, and Mr. Chair, they have gone through school with a lot of difficulties. And then again, we are asking them for these clearance certificates and even add a cost to it. So I think this is something that is very important, and I support. Later is to follow up that the implementation of it is actually done accordingly to how we will pass it here in Parliament. Thank you.
Very well. The Honorable Oluoch, member for Mathare, do you have something to say to this?
Honorable Speaker, I am waiting for the next one, which is a community health workers bill. Sorry about
very
that.
Well. Very well. The Honorable Dan Manzo, member for Makueni.
Without the benefit of hearing what the Honorable Keter was to say, I have left with no choice but to agree with the amendment. Mr. Chair, there should be no factors which affect job seekers. It should be made as easy as possible for job seekers to access jobs, and unfortunately that has not been the case in this country. There have been so many cartels, so many corners, a lot of corruption. Even for somebody to get to police, army, those things, those recruitment courses have been a problem. And therefore, owing to the fact that many Kenyans who go to school, their only way to help their families is through employment at the first instance. They are not able to start their own businesses. I didn't want to support the position of the committee. I thank you, Chair.
The Honorable Martin Owino, do you wish to say something to this? Very well. Honorable members, allow me then to put the question. The Honorable Keter, are you now in a position to say something to the proposed amendment to your
Yes.
proposals?
Thank you, Chair. Although I'm in support for the committee amendment since it is enriching the bill, and it is true. We are not graduating criminals. We are graduating Kenyans who are qualified, and they should be considered first for employment before they're being asked for any other hindrances apart from that the normal certificate they get in school. We had created unnecessary hurdles only for job seekers and preventing them from actually getting gainful employment and being taken as cash cows. So I support the committee amendment.
Very well. Honorable members, then allow me to put the question that clause 2 be amended as proposed by the committee. Will as many of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Title.
I propose the question that the title be the title of the bill. There's no amendment to this. The Honorable Session? What is out of order? Yes, the Honorable Session.
Chair, and I'm sure Honorable Keter can agree with us. The clause 2 actually was in two parts. 2A, and we've gone through 2A, there's 2B. So I'm not sure whether we have adopted. If it is adopted, if the amendments for both 2A and 2B have been adopted by the chair, I stand guided.
We put the global question. The Honorable.
Yes, both sections I'm in support.
Yes. Very well. Thank you, the Honorable Session, for clarity. We will now put the global question in regard to clause 2. And the global question then would be that clause 2, as amended, be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Title.
I propose the question that the title be the title of the bill. There's no proposal to this. I therefore now put the question that the title be the title of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 1.
I propose the question that clause 1 be part of the bill. There is a proposal to this, the Honorable Session. Your dilemma. Understand it is a misdirection on my notes, but you have no proposal to this. So, yes, it is just a typo on my notes. So you are well. You are fine. You don't have a proposal to this. I will now put the question that the clause 1 be part of the bill. Will as many of that opinion say aye? Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Okay, we are done with that, so we shall move to reporting. The Honorable Keter, Gideon.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that the committee do report to the House its consideration of the Employment Amendment Bill number 2, Bill of National Assembly Bill number 79 of 2019, and its approval thereof with amendments.
I put the question which is that the committee do report to the House its consideration of the Employment Amendment number 2 Bill, National Assembly Bill number 79 of 2019, and its approval thereof with amendments. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Honorable members, we shall now have reporting on the Industrial Training Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 4 of 2019.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to report that the Committee of the Whole House has considered the Industrial Training Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 4 of 2019, and approved the same with amendments.
The mover.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to move that the House do agree with the committee in the said report, and I request Honorable Shamala. I request Honorable Shamala to second the motion for agreement with the report of the Committee of the Whole House.
The Honorable Shamala.
Honorable Speaker, I do second.
Honorable members, I now propose a question which is that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. Honorable members, I direct that the next step will be undertaken when the matter will be set down in the order paper again, and direct that we move to reporting of the next bill, which is the Employment Bill number 2, as National Assembly Bill number 79 of 2019. The Honorable Wangwe.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to report that the Committee of the Whole House has considered the Employment Amendment number 2 Bill, National Assembly Bill number 79 of 2019, and approved the bill with amendments.
The mover, the Honorable Keter.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. I also request Honorable Leisuda to second the motion for agreement with the report of the Committee of the Whole House.
Honorable Leisuda.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I second and thank Honorable Keter for this very progressive amendments to the bill, and also the House for supporting, as it is going to help our young people in a great deal. Since these certificates just don't cost money, but even the cost of traveling to get them has been a hindrance for the young people. So I support, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, I propose the question, which is that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. Honorable members, I direct that the next steps in regard to this bill be undertaken when the bill will be set down for consideration again in the order paper. And I want to congratulate you, the Honorable Gideon Keter. This is the very purpose for which you are in this House, and I think it is great to see this kind of proposals emanating from you. And the Honorable Jude Jomo, that's great work. You are helping the children of this country to improve themselves. This is the purpose of this House. I'm grateful to be here when you are making your proposals. Thank you. I direct that we move on to the next business, the Community Health Workers Bill.
Order number 10, the Community Health Workers Bill, National Assembly Bill number 30 of 2020. Second reading.
Very well. Honorable members, this bill by the Honorable Martin Peter Owino, member for Ndiwa. The following members had spoken to it. That is, of course, the Honorable Dr. Martin himself, the Honorable Dr. Nyikal, the Honorable Sharif Nasir, the Honorable Ndindi Nyoro, the Honorable Badi Twalib, the Honorable Yusuf Haji, and the Honorable Mwashetani had spoken to this. So we will start off with the Honorable Odwatch Tom, member for Madare.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I rise to support and lend my unequivocal support to this motion. I want to thank Honorable Martin Owino for bringing a very timely bill, and to say from the very onset that in light of what now is the universal health care, this bill could not have come at the right time. I want to begin by underscoring that, you know, community health workers are for a long time been unrecognized, largely working as volunteers. And if I used an example of my own constituency, in my own constituency, you have about 580 community health workers who work as volunteers, and in the entire Nairobi County, you have about 7,320. If you do the arithmetics and see the gap that needs to be filled in terms of human resource and the gap in the health profession, at least at the lower level where we have basic health care at our dispensaries, this is a crucial bill. The only thing that I need to add is that on top of it being said to be a money bill, it is important that this bill comes out very clearly and remove community health workers to people who just volunteer their time, and realize that community health workers are people like ourselves. They are mothers, they are uncles, they are aunties, they have children that they take to school, and therefore some form of remuneration is important so that they are also able to make a living. And then that brings me to clause 5, which happily establishes a council, and I believe and hope that over and above all the roles and objectives that I see there, the council will be able to do resource mobilization, both from the national government and the county government, and also to be able to look out to, you know, multilateral donors, civil society, so that we are able to fill in the gap that the government is not able to fill, so that these people are able to work collectively and efficiently. Looking at clause 5, it is important to note that the establishment of this council will ensure that, you know, the council ensures access to qualification of, rather to assess, sorry, Chair, they'll be able to assess the qualification of community health workers, so that it's not just anybody who can appear today and say that they are community health workers. They will also be able to ensure maintenance of standards of practice. same as we have standards of practice for other professionals, the medical profession, dentist, poisons board, and all, the standards of how they need to be able to carry out their work, especially clinical standards that they would be able to offer at the lower level. It will also be able to establish a professional code of conduct and look at disciplinary measures, as well as to be able to keep a record and a database of how many community health workers have just indicated in Nairobi alone. My count tells me that they are close to between 8,000 to 10,000 community health workers. But how many are there around the country? That database is important so that even as we plan for universal health care, we are also able to see these people who offer a complementary role at the local level, how many are there? Mr. Speaker, I want to also indicate that the importance of community health workers can be looked at in three parallels. Community health workers are what to the health profession, what paralegals are to the legal profession, or what lay pastors are to the religious sector, or what Nyumba Kumi people are to the government at the lower administration level. And so their importance can neither be overemphasized nor gainsaid, Honorable Speaker. I also want to underscore that the role of community health workers to carry out functions that are person-centered. This is important because when you go to hospital, sometimes because of the pressing needs of time and the number of people that the doctors and health professions have to deal with, they don't have that one-on-one empathetic approach towards dealing with persons. And community health workers are able to go to the villages, to the households, and to be able to offer socio-psycho support. So this is the crucial difference that community health workers are able to bring. Community health workers are also able to address determinants of health at the local level, as they also promote access to health care to vulnerable people, for example, the disabled, the elderly, widows, and persons with HIV. This access is a crucial component of the universal health care, and that one can also not be overemphasized. Honorable Speaker, when you look at Article 43, when we talk about access, you realize that Article 43 of the Constitution says that every person has a right to the highest attainable standards of healthcare. And it also goes to underscore the question of access to emergency care and access to social security. Emergency care can be defined in different ways, but if I look at it in the context of informal settlements such as Mathare, you will find that the local common person in my constituency in Mathare and Mukuru do not have access to, for example, ambulances that can be able to quickly rush them to hospital during emergencies. Community health workers live with these people as in the person who lives next door. So they are able to offer that emergency health care to the extent that they can be able to realize when there is an emergency of a person who is a neighbor, look for a vehicle, a motorcycle, or a bicycle, and be able to rush them either to the dispensary or to the Nini. The other issue which this bill happily looks at is a question of their training, and it talks about how to train them to perform their roles, both clinical, both socio-psychological, and therefore the enactment of this bill will be able to bring a crucial component that is missing and a gap that would be very important to deal with in terms of the universal health care. Community health workers, Honorable Speaker, also guide the community on health improvement and disease prevention, and this is in terms of being able to educate the people at the local level. They make visits to home, they initiate dialogue with household members, they determine the health situation and deliver key health messages and undertake necessary action. Honorable Speaker, when we ask ourselves who are community health workers, a community health worker is a member of a community who is chosen by the community, meaning that there is already acceptability that this is a person who is known, because in terms of offering community health at the local level, that trust that the person whom you're offering this socio-psychological support or clinical support outside of hospital needs to be somebody who trusts you. So these are people who are identified by the community, they live with community members, chosen by community or organizations to provide health and medical care within the community, and is capable of providing preventive, promotional, and rehabilitation care to that community. Honorable Speaker, some of the benefits also, as I continue to underscore, of the community health workers is to gain support from other organizations serving the community, develop trust on one in terms of interpersonal relation, and deliver services that are appropriate and based on a language that the people at the local level encounter. And so, Honorable Speaker, based on this, and given that our universal health care is about to take off or is taking off, Honorable Speaker, it is important that this complementary role, this gap that will be filled by community health workers, be fast-tracked, be implemented, and a budgetary framework be put in place so that we mobilize resources from national government, from county government, from international organizations, so that these people come out of that position where they volunteer their work, they are unrecognized, and nobody really looks at the importance of the things they make. Honorable Speaker, I support, and I hope that honorable members in this House will rise to the occasion and support the bill by Honorable Martins Owino, the member for Ndiwa. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable Wangwe.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, on the onset, allow me to say I support this bill, the Community Workers Bill 2020. Honorable Speaker, as I support this bill, it should be on record that my constituency has quite a number of health workers who are really struggling to keep up with the conditions that they are working in. Honorable Speaker, allow me to appreciate and thank the Honorable Owino for these wonderful thoughts he came up with, such that he is able to think on behalf of the very strong population of health workers. Honorable Owino has had a journey to come up with this bill, and it's our prayer that representing people and legislating on their behalf should earn you good results in August this year. Honorable Owino, it's our prayer, and engage the people of Ndiwa to make sure they again see you in this House next sitting, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this bill is good, and it's good because it's going to address salient issues that are touching on community health workers. It's not good enough to say you pay salary, you pay them, but it's good enough to look at the all-round social well-being of an employee. This bill, Honorable Speaker, is going to look at the recognition of the health workers. It's going to address the issue of training of health workers. It's going to look at the licensing on how the community health workers are going to work. And in overall, Honorable Speaker, is going to address the regulation of their practice and provide for the establishment of the Community Health Workers Council. Honorable Speaker, when you have a council, you have an umbrella organization where issues can be discussed, all conversations can be done at a council level, and Honorable Speaker, this is a bill that is going to address that. Honorable Speaker, this is a bill that is going to broker between the county government and national government. How do we put policies at the national level and they are implemented at the county level? This is a bill that's going to address that. And Honorable Speaker, the issues of handouts, which, for example, some counties are paying health workers 2,000 shillings per month as stipend. Let us not pay them stipend of 2,000 shillings, Honorable Speaker. I want to appreciate my county government. That's a step in the right direction. However meager it is, it's a step in the right direction. But let us now give rise to a better view, a better way of addressing the issues of community health workers than before. Honorable Speaker, the pandemic of COVID-19 has just come in. Initially, health workers were just meant to be otherwise called midwives. They would only be assigned in villages to assist our ladies and our mothers to have children. But today, community health workers, Honorable Speaker, have gone and risen beyond when COVID came. Honorable Speaker, the only person who could address the issue of COVID to the villagers at home, myself, having come from the village of Bunyala in Sisore, where not everyone understands English and Kiswahili. It's only the village community health worker, Honorable Speaker, who could address my community people in our language to understand. Therefore, they are people who have now lived beyond just being people to support our mothers or our wives to have children, but instead, they are now people who are aiding in terms of helping the community should there be a pandemic. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, this group of workers, since they've now upscaled their responsibility, they need a council to look at them, to address their social well-being. How are they being managed? How are they being administered? How do you regulate them? And how do you coordinate them? How do you eliminate if there is one of them who is rotten? And how do you promote that who is very helpful in the society? Therefore, Honorable Speaker, this bill has come in handy, has come in on the benchmark of the COVID-19, an example we have seen. It is now a bill which we should all support so that, Honorable Speaker, those who can come up with the council and the composition as listed in this bill can really be supported. Remember, Honorable Speaker, Article 43 of the Constitution guarantees Kenyans right to good health. And good health, Honorable Speaker, is not the good medicine we take. It's the steps towards taking that good medicine that addresses the good health, Madam Honorable Speaker. Therefore, the Constitution, although it is a social and economic right bill as being a social article, but it is also enforceable. We have seen yesterday, and I must thank our President for really moving fast and implementing the universal health coverage. His pledge to Kenyans has come to reality. We now have UHC in practice. We can see, Honorable Speaker, opening up of cancer centers which are very ultra-modern. With those cancer centers, Honorable Speaker, with UHC in force, Honorable Speaker, we need people to talk to, organizations like health workers, to talk to our people in the villages so that they can know you don't have to take Piriton in the village. Instead, if you feel to this condition, can you now move to the next hospital? Therefore, Honorable Speaker, the organization through which the Honorable Owino has done is going to be helpful. This is part of organizing. Honorable Owino has thought it well in support of the government's view in enabling universal health coverage to trickle down to the local common man. Honorable Speaker, with those very many remarks, I wish to support the bill and ask my colleagues to join me to vote for it when it comes to the final. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I support.
The Honorable Manzo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to contribute on this very, very important bill. Mr. Speaker, there are very many community workers in the realm of health across the country who, Mr. Speaker, have not been taken care of, and in most cases have been volunteers. Other than midwifery, which my grandmother did for free for many years in Makueni, there are many, many health workers, especially in Makueni also, who are volunteers. They work at the community. They assist people who are going to bring children to life. Who are going to make sure that more people are born. And a lot of times it's an emergency situation. The ambulances or the non-health workers are not easy to reach, and these people are skilled out of having been trained from generation to generation, and they know what to do in case of an emergency delivery and how to save the life of the mother and the child. There are also community health workers, and especially in the Ma community, and they have never told another community the secret. In the event of snake bites, and there are so many in the country, and unfortunately, now there is no longer compensation, although I brought a bill to this house to make sure that people who have snake bites and die out of it or are injured out of it are compensated. When snake bites happen in many parts of the country, before anybody is given first aid or before they get to any hospital, these community health workers have been very useful, and in the Ma community, they have a plan or some treatment they administer. And even from a very dangerous snake bite, that person will never get admitted in any store, they will not lose your life. Unfortunately, we have so many lives lost elsewhere for lack of that technology or community basic person who knows what to do in case of a snake bite, what to use, and how to save the life of that particular person. So these are very useful people, Mr. Speaker, who in a way now must be regulated, coordinated, probably trained, or they share that technology, most of it which is earned from traditions and from old time and passed on from generation to generation. And it is not conventionally taught in health institutions or in universities or anywhere. But that community knows that knowledge and they know what to do in the event of what sickness and how to prevent it. And ordinarily it's usually on first aid basis before that person reaches a hospital, and a lot of times saves a lot of lives. So there have to be a framework of dealing with these people, and a lot of times they have gone unappreciated. A lot of time that knowledge has gone untransferred because they know what herbs to use where, to deal with allergy, to deal with situations which can be held at first aid level. And then if we had a way of getting them known in their communities, having some registries as has been proposed here, getting them trained and getting them to train others to pass this knowledge to others. And a lot of times getting them sponsored, Mr. Speaker, we'll be missing something, and especially when you come to traditional medicine in this country. And I believe this is a very important bill at this particular time. And without repeating what the other two members who have presented before me have said, because there's no need for me to repeat myself, it will be very, very important to have a recognized system funded by the government, funded by the Exchequer. My only other issue with this bill was whether it also deals, with the county functions and the national functions. But I've been very well informed by the mover that there is also another bill in Senate similar to this. And when we move ours at the National Assembly, and Senate does is, they will meet somewhere and will be able to modulate and get a very good law to deal with the community health workers. And that was the only challenge I was foreseeing legally. And I've realized we have taken care of that aspect of that aspect of the law and of the Constitution. You realize that under Article 43, health is a right to every Kenyan, and the government is tasked, and ourselves, legislators, to make sure that this is achieved and we serve our people and we save lives, because the community health worker, what they do most is to save a life, and a life is so important. It is good when it is saved. And that's why even at a higher level, there is training of first aid in schools, in primary school, in secondary school, so that you know what to do in the event of an accident in the village, fall from a tree, what to do. There could be even fall from a bicycle at that level there. What do you do to make sure that person survives to get to a place they can be taken care of and they can be facilitated? The health worker, community health worker has been defined, and the moment it is regulated, then it becomes much better, and the Kenyans will receive their health care. I must congratulate the President on what he has done in relation to the health care of this country. And this community worker is dealing at a lower level. He's done it at a different level, and it means when we pass this law, we are able to take care of the basic health from the smallest level in this country to the highest level in this country, Mr. Speaker. And I also want to say, earlier on, Mr. Speaker, we had experiences in this House where our insurance was very difficult. But currently, Mr. Speaker, I must really thank the administration of Parliament. It is extremely efficient, and the doctors are handling our people very well. If it is a member or the family, they are handled very well. So in conclusion, I really want to urge members to support this and it facilitate, a way of making sure that the person, the basic person, is taken care of. And that particular health worker who has been voluntary for all the years can now be recognized and can earn something out of what they do, and can serve the community better and can be motivated through this law. I thank you, Mr. Speaker. I support.
The Honorable Mohammed Sheikh, you are next on my list, but I see you are you're ready. Proceed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for your kindness and generosity for allowing to wait for me to rush to my microphone. Mr. Speaker, I stand here to support this very, very invaluable bill. I say it invaluable because we cannot put it to scale. The values it's going to add to the healthcare workers. Mr. Speaker, I speak from a point of knowledge in the sense that I've been in the health profession for the last 33 years. And it means that, to me, this bill is timely, it is important, it will add value to our society. We have to know that the community healthcare workers are the backbone of our society. They're the ones that actually drive the health of our society in the rural village, far-flung rural village. It is important, we must acknowledge that these healthcare workers did not have a union, community healthcare workers, that is, they did not have a union, they did not have a council, they did not have representatives that actually voice their words into practicality. It has given them the opportunity on this bill. It has given them the opportunity to be able to air their positions so that they can describe the terrain they go through in their tarmac, in the sense that our community that are in the village have got the ears of these community healthcare workers. As well, the community healthcare workers have got the ears of the community, simply because they are informed of the actual medical conditions that are there. If a mother is in labor, at the wee hour of the night, doctors are not there to help them. The community healthcare workers live within the village, within the periphery and precincts of where actually things happen. And because of that, the community healthcare workers provide the essentials of medicine. And I will use the term essentials of medicine, simply because the practice of medicine is done by those that are quite up there in the ground. I mean, when I use the term medicine, some people are a bit territorial and they want to claim medicine is for particular cadres. Well, I want to say those who dispense the services provided in the rural village are those that actually practice the actual medicine are out there. Therefore, recognition of these community healthcare workers is a plus. It is a plus, and it is going to give them the opportunity to be able to prosper in their careers, to prosper in their salary and remuneration packages, to prosper in giving them that support that they need psychologically to say that they are valued members of the health professionals. They can only be valued in the community once they are recognized at the national level in terms of advocacy, in terms of board that can be able to service them for all the requirements that they need in their documentation. Let me tell you why these people are very important. From my very own family, my grandfather, Mzee Omar, the late Mzee Omar, was a community health worker who was a traditional community health worker. He was actually a very, very bright orthopedic surgeon, traditional orthopedic surgeon. He used to do all the works that are required in the rural village. My mother was actually one of the best physiotherapists, traditional physiotherapists, during the times that she used to live in the rural village. She used to provide services to people who are ill in bed and give them that support that they needed. When the doctors are not there, when the community healthcare workers, the current community healthcare workers were not there. So traditional community healthcare workers also need to be recognized. That's what I want to add to Dr. Owino's proposal on this bill, to say that traditional healthcare workers or traditional community workers are also the most valuable people, not necessarily those who came through formal education to become community healthcare workers. But I also want to add on to this, that Mr. Speaker, when it comes into advocacy, we always lag behind when the voice is not there at the table where things are discussed and decided in. And that is why the community healthcare workers' situations were lagging. I am a particular beneficiary of the community healthcare workers. The entire immunization that was given to us in our childhood was actually provided by community healthcare workers. For many of them who were volunteers, who were unpaid. And many of them were actually unlettered. When I say unlettered, they were not formally educated, but they had the grasp of it. They had the grasp of it. In one of my chapters in my books on transforming public health in developing countries, community healthcare workers stand out. They stand out simply because of the works that they have done in Pakistan, they have done in Bangladesh, they have done in Nigeria, Ghana. These are the places that I have actually focused on in that chapter. If you look at Ethiopia, before the current crisis, the child mortality was actually, has improved so much so that we thought that they are in the first world as well. The reason as to why that has happened is because of community healthcare workers. And that brings me back again to say that they are the backbone of the society. Mr. Speaker, without dwelling this longer on the advocacy of providing a board and a support for the community healthcare workers, I want to say Dr. Owino must be congratulated for actually pushing our committee, as a member of the health committee myself as well, to make sure that this has been discussed, taken the public participation it deserves, gone through the process it requires through the committee, and then we came into that decision. The decision we came to support this bill is of a professional decision, of a decision that we as professionals in the healthcare service have provided to say that it is a timely thing for the community healthcare workers. They take care of our level 1 hospital, they take care of our level 3 hospitals, they take care of community health services, that is public health as well, in the community, within the community. And therefore, these are the guardians of our society's health. These are the guardians. And given that they are the guardians, then it gives us the imperative to support anything that is going to support them both professionally and as well as the journey towards progress in their careers. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I do support this bill, and I do ask the rest of my colleagues to support this bill, given that it has come through the minds and the brains, the brighter brains of the professionals that are in the Health Committee. Thank you very much.
Well, the Honorable Kamene Joyce, member for Machakos.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to contribute to this very important bill. I must say, I start by congratulating Honorable Owino for coming up with this wonderful bill, stating that in Machakos, we have community health volunteers, and there's no doubt we have seen the work they are doing in the communities. And with the much effort they have done, and more so during the COVID-19 season, we saw them come in handy. We had our teenage pregnant young girls, and we saw the way these community health volunteers worked and walked with our young girls, and also bringing awareness of the COVID-19 and the regulations, and more so in the funeral places where funerals were taking place, and also in the places where we had events. They came, they stood and carried the sanitizers and also masks, doing their best to ensure that COVID-19 was not spread. And even yet, after the work that we've seen them doing, we are very aware that they are a very frustrated lot, and more so in the Machakos County area, where the little that had been promised to be paid have never been paid up to today. You'll find that they have arrears of 2 years. Why is that so? Because there are no regulations, there is no body that recognizes them. And that is why I say this bill comes at a handy and the right time. Congratulations, Mr. Owino. And we are aware, if this bill passes, that there will be clear guidelines. they'll be able to get trainings. They'll also be able to get licenses, and to perform their work will be made easier. So I want to support this bill as fast as yesterday. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Joshua Kutuni, member for Cherengani.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, first of all, I want to take this opportunity to thank Honorable Hood Chief. He's a member of our committee. And Chair, I want to confirm to this House that Hood Chief is one of the most robust, most reliable members in the committee. And I also have and also his experience talks quite a lot. He's been in this field of caregivers, social work for many, many, many years, not only in this country, but also in the US and other countries. So Hood Chief comes in with a lot of experience, and we appreciate his contribution all the time. As a committee, enactment of this is long overdue.
The Honorable Kutunyi, for just the education of the Speaker.
Right.
Wood Chief, I don't see any member in the House, not as Wood Chief.
Wood Chief
Is it Ward Chief? Ward Chief, the son of the chief.
Yes.
Okay, proceed.
It's another dynasty, but anyway, do I say?
Proceed.
Thank you so much. So, Mr. Speaker, this is going to go a long way in ensuring that we have people in the society that will be working very closely with the public to enhance quality, affordable health care. We use a lot of money as government to treat diseases. But, Mr. Speaker, it has come to our attention, because we've sat in the committee, but we've proven that prevention is much better than cure. If the government is going to put a lot of money on prevention through, awareness, we are going to eradicate diseases that, if left untreated, the government is going to pay a lot of money. Today, we are talking of hospitals which are overstretched. If you go to MTRH today, it is overstretched because it is covering the entire Western Kenya and also part of Uganda and Rwanda. Why? It is because we don't have early warning systems to deter these diseases. But having these people, it's going to go a long way. Community health workers, they are going to do capacity building, awareness, that is going to help the government reduce the cost. So instead of paying too much through UHC and to the hospitals, it is better to pay these people's salary and cut the cost of treating these diseases in the hospitals. See what has happened even in Kenyatta National Hospital. The same thing. Kenyatta University started just 2 years ago, but it's overstretched already. When we work on the budget, we don't have enough resources to ensure that we give to all these hospitals. So we should not be talking about expansion, but we should be talking about preventive health care. I think that is what is important as a country. What we need to do is how we need to create an enabling environment and an infrastructure where the national government and the county government are going to work closely. So then we ensure that the community health workers are given favorable conditions for working. They should be provided by the materials that are required. Like the way ECD teachers are being paid, why don't we pay community health workers? Because they go hand in hand. Mr. Speaker, so once it is enacted, I think it is also going to come to us again back to the committee where we're going to make sure that we factor in the budget. And I will appeal to the ministry that when they are going to do the itemized budget in the future, we want to see the salaries, remuneration for this. Right now, the government has set aside almost 870 million to pay those workers or to absorb those workers who've been working during this COVID-19, the front workers. First of all, they started with 3 months, 6 months, now 1 year, and then the government seems to going to observe those people. So then they can be part of the workforce to continue fighting against COVID and other diseases. So then we are going to challenge the government. And you see, when the money comes, these people, they are working for the counties. So we don't see any issue that is going to be very difficult from the national government and the county government harmonizing a framework where community health workers are going to be part or integrated to the national workforce. I think that is very important. So I stand here, Chair, to support that instead of expanding many hospitals, I think we need to focus on preventive health care. I think that is very important. So I thank you, Chair. Thank you.
Well spoken, the Honorable Kutunya. The Honorable Mule Mutinda, member for Matungulu.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. First and foremost, I want to thank Honorable Martin Owino for bringing up this bill. Mr. Speaker, this is a very important bill for this country and for the health workers in Kenya, and especially the cadre called the community health workers, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we have to realize that the serious gap which is caused within the healthcare by this missing link of the community health workers in this country. Community health workers play a very big role within the service delivery of healthcare in this country. And I want to say that this bill comes at a very anti-time whereby health services have been devolved to the counties. And it's very unfortunate, Mr. Speaker, to state it and to put it on record that not only Machakos County, but several counties within Kenya have neglected these health workers, community health workers. And it's the high time as members and representatives of the people and House who we are mandated to come up with this legislation to make sure that this gap does not exist anymore, pass this bill in a supersonic speed. Why am I saying we need to pass it in a supersonic speed? Mr. Speaker, in my county, Machakos, we meet these healthy workers, community health workers, in every function we go. But at the end of the day, as a member of parliament or as a leader, you end up looking back on how to make sure that they get transport back home, and when he gets back home, at least he has something on the table. And this is the reality, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to say that as a House, we, through the leadership of this House, Honorable Wangwe is here, can you find a quicker method to fast-track this bill so that it can be enacted to law before we start even finalizing the itemized budget for healthcare in this country for this financial year, so that we can take care of these health workers within the budget which will be read in this House, and provide money for them to be paid like any other health worker. It is highly important, Mr. Speaker, that if we fast-track this bill, I'm very sure we'll be able to realize universal health coverage in Kenya without looking for any other models to implement the universal health coverage. I want to urge those governors who have the heart of Kenyans within themselves to make sure within their county government they put aside some money to take care of the community health workers. And I know when they come back, they will tell us, oh, you have not passed the legislation, you have not passed the regulations. I want to tell them now, the holiday is over. We are going to push this bill to make sure that they have the regulation required, they have the legislation required, and we take care of Kenyans at the candor whereby those Kenyans who probably God has given them a good health for many years, they can also enjoy the services of these community health workers. Last but not least is that the community health workers require some essential commodities to facilitate them to do their job. These commodities must be factored in this year's budget. Because if we have the staff, we have the community health workers, and we don't have the essential commodities, we call them in the health sector the essential commodities for health workers, whereby they have a bag, they have the gloves, they have Panadols, the basics, whereby they can attend to any case, must be provided by the government, must be provided by the county government, and must be taken care of within the budgets we are making, Mr. Speaker. So I want to say that this is an holistic bill which brings the health thinking in this country in a different format, in a different way, and in a different approach. And I want to urge my colleagues, let's move with speed. We get to the third reading of this bill. As I've urged the leadership of the House, fast track it. We don't have a lot of luxury of time. We fast track it, we go to the third reading, we finish with it, we send it to the President for assent. Because I know by the time we get there, the bill from the Senate will be ready, and it's a matter of harmonizing the two bills and bringing it back here. We pass them, and they go to assent. We have attended several meetings with Mr. Owino. We had a meeting on Zoom, which was organized by, through the Ministry and Kanko. And he spoke about it at an international level, whereby our colleagues from Canada are shocked that Kenya, we are making a milestone to take care of the missing gap, not only in Kenya, but in the entire world. So I want to thank you, Owino, because we'll go into the books, Guinea Books of Record, of realizing a gap within the health sector and curing it through a legislation. Congratulations. Last but not least, Mr. Speaker, is that the county governments, with all due respect, must, and they need to be put on notice, they must clear their bills with the organization called KEMSA. If you look at KEMSA, is not able to provide the essential commodities required right now because the counties, they pick goods, commodities from KEMSA, and the counties are not paying. We must be a country whereby we are accountable. The governors who have picked goods from that organization and they have not paid, they are doing a disservice to this country. Because we saw it on the TV the other day, the acting CEO put it very clearly, that they have a bill of almost 7 billion shillings with the counties. I want to suggest this, Mr. Speaker. As we are dealing with the budget for this year, we allow the Ministry of Finance and Treasury to deduct all the pending bills from the county money before they send their money to the counties, so that we can make sure that we restock our reserve for medical services, for medical commodities in this country, and we make sure that we don't get into quagmire of having a warehouse which does not have commodities. Please, governors, can you pay your bills? And I find it very funny, Mr. Speaker. Most of these county governments, if you look at their pending bills, I don't know what they are thinking of. Serious pending bills, uncleared bills, they have not paid bills from contractors, now they have not paid KEMSA, we don't know who else they have not paid. They have not paid community health workers in their counties. Surely, Mr. Speaker, there's something amiss. And I want to go on record. We are going to find a solution to make sure that health care in this country must be given a priority. Thank you very much. I support this bill.
hearts in them. Does it mean that there are some that do not have Kenyan hearts? The Honorable Lesuda Naisula, member for Samburu West. It's your opportunity now.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. First, I want to take this opportunity to congratulate and to thank my colleague, Honorable Owino, for this very, very significant and important bill, which is going to look at the welfare and how our community health workers work in our country. And just as it has been said by others, we cannot overemphasize the important role and work that the community health workers play in our country. And Mr. Speaker, just from the word community, these are the people who have direct access to the community. They go out of their way to reach the people, even in the remotest areas. I know, for example, in my county, Samburu, and how vast it is, but any other time, you'll always find a community health worker in the remotest village. And they also have a personal touch with the community members, Mr. Speaker. Also, the community health workers are people who actually do follow-up. They follow up on our patients. They follow up also on what was said very importantly by my colleague, Honorable Kutun. They even deal with issues to do with prevention, on issues to do with malnutrition, on nutrition, on how our children are fed, and it also helps to reduce issues to do with child mortality, Mr. Speaker. And so we cannot overemphasize on issues to do with the role and the work that the community health workers play in this country. Even when you look at people who have illnesses that need close follow-up, for example, tuberculosis, HIV, they follow up with them and have conversations with them. They even guide them. They ensure that they take their medication and even advise them on the diets that they should take, Mr. Speaker. And so, on the importance of the community health workers, we cannot overemphasize. On the importance of this bill and the importance of it is then to ensure that their welfare is taken care of, that to ensure that they are also in a council. We have seen how the dentist board, we've seen how the doctors and pharmacists and everybody else, but we have forgotten the community health workers. And so, Honorable Wino, this is very important to make sure that we consider and we ensure that the community health workers are then taken care of in our communities. Mr. Speaker, I just want to pick up on an issue, and especially on what has been said about our county governments. And when you asked whether there are some governors who don't have hearts, or in how they what was said, it depends on how they treat people. And especially what has also been said about even the pending bills. There are some who, the pending bills will always go to issues to do with roads because that is where there are kickbacks, and it depends on which contractor you pay and things like that. But when it comes now to serious issues like this one, where there is nowhere where money will exchange hands, we will have difficulty in the implementation of this law, Mr. Speaker. And so that is where we have governors who have hearts, who think of Kenyans and what to do, and there are others who will actually take this very seriously and ensure that immediately it is passed and the regulations are in place, then they will ensure that the money and the implementation of this bill will then be done for the benefit not only of the community health workers, but also the people that the community health workers will be serving in the counties and in the communities, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Lesuda,
and so I suppose...
The Honorable Lesuda, I have also even heard in other quarters that are those that are even heartless. They don't even have hearts.
We wonder what they use to pump blood, But it's a very serious issue, and it is something that, as a country, we have to look at. And this matter, even on pending bills, both at the national level and the county level, it has a human face to it. There are so many Kenyans who are going into depression. We have people who are also committing suicide. There are people who are being auctioned, Mr. Speaker, because of committing their resources to deliver services and work to both national and county government, Mr. Speaker, and they are now left with huge loans and debts to pay and being impoverished. And so it is important that even as we discuss these matters of national importance, we also consider as a parliament, and we'll be looking at it very closely from the budget committee, and even as we look into our budgets, on how these pending bills will be taken care of, and also that we will be factoring in important matters like this. And so I want to support overwhelmingly this bill.
The Honorable Mwali Ombithi, member for Masinga.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity to be able to air my views on this bill. I want to thank our colleague, Honorable Owino, for this bill. It's a very, very important bill. Community Workers Bill number 2020, which seeks to establish a council for the community health workers. I want to say that this country has got very few health workers, especially the doctors. And the health workers comes very handy because they know every home, they know many, many, many people. If they are called to help, they are available for no fee, and they are not complicated. They don't say, I don't have fuel. They don't say, I don't have money. They go there to help the community that they have been trained to help. And therefore, this council, which is being enacted, we are seeking the enacting, will be so important because it will be doing periodically trainings, there will be registers, they will be licensed like any other practitioners, and so that they will feel like they are also professionals, not people that are being used for nothing, but people that are being used as professionals. And therefore, I feel this is a very important bill that we need to enact it and pass it so that our people can be helped. We have very few doctors in this country. Maybe one doctor is for 2,000 people. But the health workers are maybe one for maybe 100 people, which will be able to help them even to assist the doctors, to assist the nurses, so that people are not dying anyhowly for lack of attendance in the hospitals. You will find that before a person is attended by the doctor, the health worker has given the first aid. And that first aid is very, very important. Especially in the rural areas, you'll find that one has been bitten by the snakes or by some other animals. But the health workers will be very handy to be able to give that first aid before they reach the hospitals. And that will prevent them even from further injuries, because a first aid has already been provided upon them. And therefore, this council is required so that we have a regulation which can govern them, where they can be airing their views when there is no payment, because nowadays they work for nothing. Last week they called me in my constituency. They met all of them, and they want to take the governor of Machakos to court. And I told them, before you take them to court, can you first of all have a meeting with the MOH, so that we can find a solution before you start going to court. Because even the money for engaging a lawyer, they don't have. So this council will be able to assist them in some of these teething problems, in some of these non-payments, so that they can feel that we are not working for nothing. So I really support this bill, and I pray the government will also be able to see sense in the workers that help the health practitioners to be able to put health in our people, in our communities. With those few remarks, I support.
The Honorable Mwalio, the real statistics for doctors to population rate, the last I heard is about 1 to 115,000, not 2,000. 1 to 15,000 Kenyans. We are in trouble. The Honorable Muliunge Mutemi, member for Mwingi Central.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. I rise to support this bill by Honorable Martin Owino. Mr. Speaker, the Constitution of Kenya 2010 provides that health care is a right for all Kenyans, and that should not be denied because of lack of doctors. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, this bill has come at the right time to support the Constitution 2010, which provides for the right to health care. Mr. Speaker, health care is a very costly affair. Every other day in my constituency, there must be a request for support on health care bills in hospitals and other kind of tests. And Mr. Speaker, because of that costly affair of health care, we have lost a lot of lives. Many people don't get access to good health care, and therefore they die because of lack of health care. Similarly, Mr. Speaker, there are also others who die because of lack of first aid. And first aid, in most of the cases, is not provided by medical doctors. First aid is provided by the person who is closest to you at that particular time of the incident of poor health. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, this bill comes to sort those problems, because community workers are all over. They are all over in the villages, and therefore they are the first contact to the sick people or those who get accidents. And therefore, this bill will sort these problems. Mr. Speaker, many times in my constituency, there are so many fundraisings on health, and they have even become more than school fees, and therefore this thinking is good to sort some of these problems. And I want to take this opportunity to thank His Excellency the President for also thinking louder on healthcare. He has come up with the universal healthcare, which he talks very passionately about it. And if this universal healthcare is achieved, and we also achieve this community health workers bill, then a lot of issues will be sorted out in the healthcare. Mr. Speaker, as you know, all the professionals world over are regulated, starting with doctors, dentists, nurses, pharmacists, lawyers, engineers, architects. They are all regulated. So why on earth were these community health workers discriminated? The Constitution does not allow discrimination. Why were they left out when all these other professionals were being regulated? So I must thank Martin Owino for coming to the rescue of community health workers so that they can be treated equally with the other professionals. And as you know, Mr. Speaker, regulating professionals is good so that the profession is not infiltrated by quacks. So the community health workers, in accordance with this bill, they will then be registered and will even be knowing how many they hire in Kenya. They will be regulated so that their conduct is in accordance with the law. And there will also be continuous professional training for them so that they are in touch with the current affairs of healthcare in the world. And also, more so, they will be disciplined so that they also do not misbehave. Mr. Speaker, traditionally, all these people have been there. There have been midwives, you know, there have been even traditional medicine men and women. And where I come from, there's a gentleman who, when you get a snake bite, like today I've just received a message from my constituency, a child has been bitten by a snake this morning and has passed on. There is a gentleman in my constituency who used to be my mathematics teacher, but he has converted himself to a community health worker. And he treats snake bites better than even in hospitals. Yeah. When you get a snake bite and you go to that guy, you survive. And sometimes when you go to hospital, you die. So this bill is very useful to people like that because they will then be recognized. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I finally want to thank Owino for this bill and ask members of this House to support him and support the bill. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I support. Thank you.
The Honorable Edith Nyenze, member for Kitui West.
Thank you, Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to contribute to this important bill by Honorable Owino on community health workers. These are community health volunteers who are lay individuals of varied backgrounds coming from various communities that they serve. They have actually only received very brief training on health problems, and they've volunteered to engage with the community. So let me say that they are actually doing a noble job because to get them into this work of health working with the community, what people really look for is the interpersonal skills, which they have very good qualities. They are good listeners. They are people who can do counseling. So let me congratulate them for accepting to do this noble job. They are doing this, yet they do not have the necessary tools to do their job, but they do a very good job. They interact closely with the community whom they serve, and most of the times they bring awareness Actually, all the time they bring awareness to the community, and in doing so, they bridge the gap between the community and also the health facilities, because some of them now are the ones who expose them to the right medication so that they are treated. But these health workers do not have, they actually do not have the necessary skills, they do not have the necessary equipment, and they also lack finances because they are supposed to move from one place to another. They are supposed to actually travel. They also end up in having their clients. They are not even given airtime to reach their clients. And this is very, very wounding to them because they are really ready to work, but they do not have the necessary skills. So, Honorable Owino, let me congratulate you for bringing up this need for the health workers. I remember some of them are also do some interaction with the community. I remember one of the health worker who usually comes to me. It's not one, but many. And this time they come asking for transport, asking for airtime. I remember one of them who actually interacts with HIV patients. And she's also positive herself. And she has a lot of work, and they also do a lot of work. The other time she was telling me of how they do not have the medication. She's the one who is supposed to go and talk to them, encourage them, and so that they do not give up in life. And I remember they were even telling me I should give them some money so that they can buy something for them. And this will make them feel that they are needed in society, that they are loved, because no one cares for them. And then whoever is doing this has no funds, has no financial support from anywhere. So it's very important to have these health workers be regulated, be under a body, even if it's an authority, which would, in the county government, which would actually regulate what they do. They would, in doing so, then they will be trained. They will be licensed after the training. They will have a payment structure. And also, it will be known how they are working. They will have some working schedule so that they are recognized from that. And then they will be reporting to someone, so that they are not just left on their own. They will also be having they could also be having some refresher courses organized for them, so that in case of any pandemic which comes up, they are thoroughly trained to be aware of what is happening, so that they pass it to their patients and also to the community. So this is a very, very important bill. But currently, in some of our counties, like my county, Kitui County, health has been a big issue. There is no medication. People are very desperate. And yet, they're expecting to be treated. Even when they come up with medical cards, they don't work. You are given medical cards, and then there's no medication. You are still supposed to pay for the medical card, and then there's no treatment. So the health sector in the counties is wounding. So, Mr. Speaker, I would urge the government to look at it again and know whether it should be a devolved function or whether it could remain at the national level. Otherwise, my urge is that there is need to have these volunteers, to have the health workers get some pay and also have some money for airtime, for transport, and also have some recognition, like have the necessary tools the tools which they would carry along with them, having some also identification to show that they are health workers, also having some uniform that would also assist them. So with all that, Mr. Speaker, I support the bill. Thank you.
The Honorable Nixon Korir, member for Langata.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First, I want to thank Honorable Wino for bringing this bill. This is the kind of the bills that we should be giving priority and discussing in this House. Mr. Speaker, the welfare of the community health workers have been ignored for a very long time. And yet they play a big role in our society in terms of bridging the gap between the community and the health facilities. They also play a role in prevention and cure. Mr. Speaker, we interact, especially in Nairobi, with very many community health workers who are working in our informal sector and in our community. They deal with the chronically ill in the community, those who have HIV, they ensure that they get their ARVs. They play an integral role in our health sector. And I think this bill has come at the right time, although it's a bit late, but I think it is the right time now. Mr. Speaker, there is no, just like my colleagues have said, there is no sector in this country that people just work without being recognized by government and being paid or remunerated for the work they have done. And I think the health workers have really suffered in the hands of the county governments, and we must say as it is, Mr. Speaker. And they also lack trainings. As you know, Mr. Speaker, diseases evolved, they mutate, and different trainings are needed to handle different diseases, and the case in point is the COVID. And these health workers have been volunteering despite the lack of equipment, lack of facilities and facilitation. And they have been volunteering in the community, and I think they deserve a thumbs up. And the proper thumbs up is ensuring that they are recognized, they are registered, they are trained, they have a representation in terms of a council that can represent them when they have issues, and proper recognition in law. And because they are the first reference from when you go to our ghettos, Mr. Speaker, most of the people don't even know where the health facilities are. The first person they call is a community health worker. And they go there without asking for any money. And I think it is only proper that we support this bill so that we can be able to, once and for all, deal with this issue and recognize our community health workers. And there are many, Mr. Speaker. What they just need is proper training, licensing, and clearly indicating their roles in whatever they do, and so that they cannot be misused and abused, Mr. Speaker, because for a very long time they were referred to volunteers, and I'm happy that now they are referred to community health workers, not community health volunteers. So while so many people are volunteering in different sectors, I think this is a very big sector. As you understand, many Kenyans have sold property. They have sold all whatever they have just to cure their family members. Many Kenyans die of curable diseases because the sector is not properly aligned and it is not properly supported. And the first support that we need to give is the community health workers. And I support this bill. It is unfortunate, I have to mention this, Mr. Speaker. In the case point of Nairobi, the current director in charge of health was a KMPDU chairman who was an activist fighting for the doctors. But now given an opportunity, Mr. Speaker, we've seen and we appreciate that many facilities have been built around our city, but they don't have medicine, Mr. Speaker. These community health workers have not been appreciated, and because you actually did not need a bill to be brought to this house. ECDs and the ECD teachers are being enumerated and paid by the county governments, and they didn't have to suffer the way the community health workers are suffering. And I think it is unfortunate, and we must support this bill so that the community health workers are supported, Mr. Speaker. I support.
The Honorable Wangaya Seka, member for Wisero.
Thank you, Speaker. I also rise to support this bill by Honorable Owino that seeks to create a council that will, in will look into the interest of the community health workers. Mr. Speaker, community health workers link the community with health facilities. Community health workers also, Mr. Speaker, provides advice in terms of nutrition and general hygiene. In so doing, Mr. Speaker, this reduces costs of admission in hospitals, hence reduces costs of healthcare in general. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Dawood. Member for...
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on the onset, I want to congratulate Honorable Owino, and I believe this Community Health Workers Bill should go through, and if it does go through, Mr. Speaker, we need to empower the health workers. Mr. Speaker, the health workers who are already in the job, they should not be just taken for training. I mean, if they can suffice what training they have, it should be put in place so that the council does not say that they have to go to train, because community health workers are the backbone of this country. And I think when we have them where they have not qualified according to the training manual, they should still be registered and be given some time so that they can go for training. But otherwise, we need to see how the counties will employ them. For with that, I support, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Odhiambo Akoth, member for Suba North.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wish to support. In my community, we call these people Nyamrerwas, and they do an excellent work, especially for reproductive health care for women who are about to give birth. They're the first line of response. Mr. Speaker, I've just seen Bill Gates writing about how we can stop the next pandemic or pandemics ever. And part of the issues that he's saying in a forthcoming book is that there are innovations and ways that we can do it. But from what you can see of COVID, we don't even need to go far. He mentions that we can invest in healthcare, but we need to invest in healthcare at that level. And we need to therefore appreciate them and remunerate them well and take care of their needs. So I thank Honorable Martin Owino for this excellent bill. I support.
The Honorable Gogo Achieng.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. I rise to support this single most piece of legislation for the simple reason that it's been fronted by a first-time member of parliament from Homa Bay County, Honorable Wino. Thank you very much. I've gone through the bill and it's a very good piece of legislation, but allow me to just talk about two items on it because we are short of time. One is about recognition. All people want is for them to be recognized. After all, they've been working for the longest without recognition, and when they are recognized, I think it should motivate them to work even better. Kenyans, we are used to free people working for us for free, and it's high time, Honorable Speaker, that we recognize these people. They are given more training, they are licensed, and when their work is anchored in law, then it's high time they are going to be paid, and more training is going to be given to them. Honorable Owino, thank you so much for bringing this item on the floor of the House. I support. Rangwe constituency supports this bill, and because of time, I think when given more time, next time I should speak to it more.
The Honorable Gogo, don't rush yourself.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker.
There's still time.
Oh.
I just want to inform you
that
when this bill still has about 1 hour, 18 minutes to go, and you are on the floor, and therefore when the bill again is set down for consideration, you will have priority and you will have a balance of about 9 minutes to speak to this.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker.
Just hold your thoughts, and I know you have a lot to say. You will say it then.
Thank you.
But you will allow us now to, because of the time for this particular session, to call it to a stop.
Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable members. (02 p.m.) This House stands adjourned until today, Wednesday, the 9th of February 2022 at 2:30 p.m.